Yeah.
Hello! I love the new little part of the intro that you added with the native symbol, man. That's great. That's great. Look at Hasbar too. One of the best intros on YouTube. That's right. Welcome, good evening, and good night, everyone. My name is Turmentic.
And I'm CNO from TCG Island, and this is
Let's Talk MetaZoo. So tonight we are joined by the one, the amazing, the beautiful, the sultry voiced demon himself, Antonio the Demon Fergus. Everybody give it up for him. Give it up for him. Give it up. Give it up.
Good evening, casters. I am the Demon Fergus.
There's that voice.
Really
man.
excited to be here.
Oh God, you have like one of the best voices in the community, my guy. I'm not even kidding you. I love it.
I would say this. It always makes me laugh when I play online tournaments and people just automatically recognize me just coming in. So it's pretty funny to me.
You're on TTS there or something like that, and they just hear the voice like, oh, that's Demon. Got it. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight on what we are focusing this month on MetaZoo gameplay with the Tower happening this last week of July, the Flame Tower in Dallas. That is what this month is about. It is about talking to players. It is talking about event organizers. It is talking about everything to do with gameplay with MetaZoo. So thank you for helping us kick this off. And I'm so excited to pick your brain, man, because you've been to so many MetaZoo events. You've probably been to most of the bigger MetaZoo events that have happened. And so I can't wait to actually pick your brain about that. But I got to ask, of course, the most important question of the evening. What is your favorite cryptid? And why is it Squonk?
Squonk? Oh, no, I'm about to put some slander on here. No, we gotta go with the boy. We gotta go with the boy.
Oh, he has to go with the boss.
Yeah.
All right, that's acceptable. The Squonk can cry. That's okay.
I already got the pocket chibi moth in my wallet. Been rocking it.
Oh, you don't even have a pocket Squonk. You have a chibi pocket.
Chibi moth. He's been going with me everywhere.
That's great. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody holding one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I love it. So tell us a little bit about, since you got the chibi moth in your wallet, tell us a little bit about Chippy Demon Fergus, Chippy Antonio. What were you into when you were a kid, card wise? Did you play other games? Did you compete, things like that? Tell us a little info.
And were you born with that deep of a voice?
Middle school actually kicked in for me a long time. But no, I started, I think, like everybody with Pokemon, but with the early versions of Pokemon. And everybody in my apartments was playing it until like two kids on the top of my apartments were playing like a really demonic game, which is now known as Yu-Gi-Oh! And everybody collectively did a bonfire and threw all our Pokemon cards in there. And we will march down to 7-Eleven and bought all their starter decks and everything.
Oh wow! You just forsook Pokemon, went straight to
we just threw it away. Yep, we just went straight to Yu-Gi-Oh! And that was trash.
Oh, wow! What was it that drove you? What was it that drew you from Pokemon to Yu-Gi-Oh?
Well, I'm pretty sure like a lot of other Hispanics can relate. Is like at the time the whole everybody was talking, oh, Pokemon's the devil, but it's like you look at Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just like, I mean, there's like straight up demons in here, and you're talking about little rats and everything being the devil.
I don't know how many people have actually gone back and rewatched the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Season as an adult, but let me tell you, it is dark.
Oh, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zero Yugi was murking people, he was just like, nah, you dead. And was just like, all right, cool,
Well,
you do you, Yugi.
I mean, the whole point of the original season of Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 is Yugimoto actually inhabiting Yugi,
Oh, yeah.
like the kid. So you have this old 1,000-year Egyptian dude who's inhabiting this kid in order to fight this guy with these millennium objects that have mystical powers that can literally take you to the shadow realm. Like, it was heavy stuff, dude.
Must have been a lot of awkward situations.
I still love, my favorite thing actually about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the fact that it still started out as an Yakuza. I think it was a Yakuza manga.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the card game they played in the manga that actually evolved into Yu-Gi-Oh! Proper.
So that's what I did love about Yu-Gi-Oh! Because like I said, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zero, in the mangas, it was literally based off of actual gambling games and different kind of card games. But again, at the end was a twist of Yugi killing everybody at the end. But and then it's just like, hold on, we actually might have something here. Let's shift the dynamic to a kid-friendly thing. And then I was just like,
and that's exactly what they did too. It's amazing. It's such an amazing story.
But I loved it. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid. I loved every single moment of it. I started focusing a lot once Yu-Gi-Oh! GX started happening. Man, I wish so much that Duel Academy was real. I was just like, it was awesome. But I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid, and I still love Yu-Gi-Oh! Now. It's not. I don't play it competitively like I used to, but I love Yu-Gi-Oh! It was always like one of my first true loves in card game.
Tell us a little bit about you competing. Like, wow, what level did you compete?
So I actually went to tournaments, and I think that's still one of my struggles nowadays because I don't get. Well, again, I'm an insomniac, so I don't get any sleep when it comes to tournaments. So I go in and be like, all right, cool, I'm playing, and it's like, oh, dang, I got to go to an event in 2 hours. GG's, and I just go and play and just say Thug Life. But it actually helped me a lot because I'm also I'm dyslexic. So as a kid, I struggled a lot with reading. But with card games, especially with Yu-Gi-Oh, when it was heavy text, and then with math, it actually helped me improve a lot. So I still do nowadays. I push a lot of parents and friends that I know and tell them like, hey, if your kids are struggling with reading, show them card games, show them stuff because like it's easy to pick up on. You see the cartoons, you see the things you love, and it's easier for a kid, especially being able to struggle with all that stuff, to read and all that. So I really try to push heavily on people trying to get into card games.
No, that's kind of cool. Would you say it was the association of the word and being able to memorize the word because playing it so much that helped?
Yeah, just constantly repetition because back then Yu-Gi-Oh was simple. It was just like, all right, cool. This guy came from the shadowy pits of hell, and it's just like, oh, okay. Then nowadays it's like Yu-Gi-Oh's like, man, that's like 3 full paragraphs in there, man. I don't know how you expect me to learn this. So
that's what I tell everybody at the shop. They're like, you play Yu-Gi-Oh? I'm like, nah, I used to play when you actually had to like sack things in order to summon stuff, and now it's like first turn 7-star, and like, nah, I don't got time for that.
Yu-Gi-Oh got too fast for me. I was just like, man, I'm just trying to keep up. I'm all right. I'm chilling.
Did you ever compete like at a high
Yeah,
level?
I've gone to a good amount of YCSs. I didn't get as far as I wanted to in a lot of them. I did have my Yu-Gi moments where I remember heavily where I was playing against an actual shop owner, and when I ended up beating him, he ended up giving me some of the stuff, and a lot of that I liked about it and it still comes with me today because my general goal as a competitive player and a player is that I want to make a lot of events fun. I don't like being sweaty in any of these kind of events, and I do like the fact that I've brought that with me to every other card game. And when I hear people's feedback when they play with me, it's just like it's fun playing, and that's what I want. Is like I want competitive gameplay to be fun. Whereas like I understand that there is like life-changing money for a lot of people in these events, especially with MetaZoo. By far the most craziest draw in cash prizes ever in any card game. That I don't know if you can cuss here, but I consider myself a TCG whore because I've played every single competitive game besides Flesh and Blood, but I don't want to get into that one. But playing against every other card game, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Weiss, Digimon, Dragon Ball Super, MetaZoo has the biggest prize support.
Yes.
And I do love that, and I love the draw of it. But I see that a lot of people freak out, and when I play against people in MetaZoo, they're like sweating, they're like trembling, they're going off, and they look at me as like, how are you so calm in these situations? And I tell them like, well, first off, I've played competitive like since I was a kid, so I know how it is. But at the same time, like you got to relax, like you got to picture just look at your opponent and just have fun at the end of the day. Because I mean, if you're not having fun in these kind of events, then it's just like it tends to get drawn out, and repetitive, and you get bored of it fast. But as long as you're actually you make a lot of mistakes because at the end you're like, damn, I misplayed because I should have done this and done that. But I wasn't paying attention and now I'm struggling. But it's like, no, it was like relax, keep a cool breath, and just play. And it's like if you sack, you sack. It is what it is. But if you're able to learn from those situations, it's all that matters.
Nice. So how did you actually find MetaZoo?
Yes.
So I found MetaZoo actually because of since I'm here based on Dallas, Texas. DFW Pokemon were I think early investors in MetaZoo back for like Collecticon because DFW Pokemon was like heavily into Collecticon, and I saw that there was a game based on cryptids, and I've loved cryptids all my life. I've been in, like I guess like a lot of spiritual stuff has happened to me since I was a kid, and then being my birthday, the Day of the Dead, it's just like stuff like that draws me. But and then at the minute I was about to buy a first ed box because they were selling them at $100, Digimon was releasing their new card game, and I loved Digimon as a kid, so my swifted into Digimon immediately, and I completely forgot about MetaZoo. And then I think like a year later, that's when the whole big boom happened where everything skyrocketed with every card game. And and I got kind of bored of Digimon. And I was like, you know what other game can I get into? And I saw that the shop I was at had MetaZoo. And I was like, hey, I completely forgot about this game. So it was right when Nightfall was coming out.
Okay.
And I started playing. I was looking into a lot of it. And I was like, that's where I met Mr. Run It Up. And I was bringing a lot of people with me to MetaZoo, and I started meeting some other people that I've known from Pokemon in there. Exactly, security control. That's why I hated Digimon. Terrible. But that's where I met him. He was showing me a lot of the cards. Like he's like, oh yeah, you need Chaos Crystal. You need all these shards and Power Up Red. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm seeing this. Like, how much is these cards? He's like, all right, well, Power Up Red's $200. Chaos Crystal is $250. I was just like, excuse me?
Yep.
No, sir. I am not dropping $500 on a competitive deck. Like, what's the lowest rarity? He's like, this is the lowest rarity. I was like,
yeah,
no. But another friend ended up looking into it, and then that's when I started seeing them pop up more on Twitter, and that's where I followed them. It's like, hey, we're announcing our second edition for MetaZoo, and we're gonna showcase it in Chicago's Collecticon, which was literally that same month, 2 weeks later. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go. So I contacted my friend who can get me hookups. So I sold him like, I believe like an Umbreon and a Charizard from the 25th anniversary to give me a plane ticket. And I flew to Chicago that morning at 6 a.m. and flew back home that same day at 10, just to experience like what MetaZoo was about. And I went over there by myself, and I met Mike, and he was like, so how long are you here and everything? Because he was really genuine. Like, he's a genuine guy, and I love Mike. He's pretty cool. And I told him, like, he was like, how? So when do you come here? Friday, Thursday? Like, how long are you here? Like, oh no, I just came in today. Like, I'm leaving right after this event. And he's like, you're joking. I'm like, nah, man. I wanted to see what you're doing, and y'all giving out. And I even bought the NFT, which I have the Nightfall Error coin, back coin.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm just going to get some booster boxes and sell them and help like my friends and just sell it to them the exact same price. Because at the time, they're like, NFT holders can get as many boxes as they want. So like, cool. They give me money, and I give them the boxes. So I just got that for we can actually all play MetaZoo, since the first edition was like, I think at the time $1,000 for a first ed box.
Yep.
And Mike was going crazy. He was talking to all the artists like, yo, this guy literally flew in a day just to come here.
I've heard that story before too. That's an epic story.
So we took a picture. He signed actually this box. I still have it sealed for the OG Mike Waddell signature right there.
Oh, nice.
See it?
Nice.
And I got all the stuff and I flew back and I got home like at 11 a.m. And then after like 11 p.m. After that, I was hooked with MetaZoo. I was just like, all right, when's the next thing? When we're going to start doing this? And we actually started, me and a couple others started building a location where we're like, hey, let's get people going here. And it ended up building a bigger community. And then that's when I think that's when Caster Society had their first extravaganza. So I ended up traveling down to San Antonio for their extravaganza, which was crazy. So I think that's when we saw the first person from New York fly from New York for that event. And he won first place, getting the first place medal, which was crazy. And then I won a side event, which I got a full booster box. I met a lot of cool people there that I ended up we started connecting. We're like talking about road trips, and this is so strange to me. And I love that this happened with MetaZoo, is that I like the community we started building so fast on the ground up, started becoming way more like, and I consider like a great family like reunion every time I see like you, Turmentic, everybody like at these events, because it's like everybody's so excited to see each other at these events, and it's so cool. And I don't see that in any other card game. And I've gone, and I didn't even notice this until one of my friends pointed out that I actually went to, I think, every single Collecticon last year besides Kansas, which was the one after Collecticon, which was after the Caster Cup, because I was dead after that one. So I was like, nah, y'all can go that. I'm not doing that one. So, but
that was like the week after Caster's Cup.
Yo,
I remember.
I was hurt. I was like, no. Your boy dying. So I skipped that one, but I went to every other single Collecticon event. And it's like, it was crazy, like how exciting everyone got. Like we were having people call each other on Discord or on Messenger, like getting hotel rooms. I drove to like a lot of events. I even drove to Salem just for this game. And I've never done so much traveling in my life until MetaZoo came in, and that's why I cherish it so much.
I can definitely support you though in the whole idea of every time meeting up at an event, it's like a big family reunion. Because like you, for example, every time I've seen you at an event now, I've always immediately first time come up and give you a big old hug.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like, and so yeah, and it's there's something, I don't know. It's crazy. It's almost magical in a way. Actually, just that's it's. We talk every now and then via Discord and Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But it's like every time we go to some of these events, it's just like it picks right up where it left off.
Exactly.
And that's what's really cool.
I think which was the I guess the controversial one was New Mexico for the UFO event. And I think that was like our first big event that happened. And a bunch of us just gathered together in my car to drive to New Mexico.
To Roswell.
Yeah, and it was cool. Like, I love the road trip. I actually went with Metakai, and that's how me and him got a lot closer through that. And we drove up there. We drove up and met MetaZoo Collector. And that's actually the first day I met Moldy Potion, which would always be the funniest interaction I have met with anybody. Is that because I was like, I drove over there and I was still like half asleep, but I still couldn't sleep because of my insomnia. And I passed out for like 2 hours, and then all I see is someone walk up to me, and it's just like, and I just see a tall man in pajamas just come up and he's just like, hey, what's up? You want some eggs? I was just like, sure, man. Like, okay. And we're just eating eggs. I was just like, wait, I'm pretty sure that's Moldy Potion because I've seen his videos before. And we're just chilling, eating eggs. Like, you're like, I think I know your voice. You're Demon Fergus. Was like, yeah. It was just like, and we just started chatting it up. I was like, this is the most random encounter I have ever been into. So it was so cool. And of course, what happened in Roswell. And
oh, right, time out. I love that your first descriptor of Johnny is this tall man.
Yeah, this tall man just comes up and just like peace signs. Like, what's up, man? You want some eggs?
Johnny is like it's crazy tall. It's just so it's funny. It's yeah. But okay, so yeah, Roswell controversy.
Well, the whole thing where a lot of stuff were promised, where promos were promised to a lot of people. And I give MetaZoo a lot of credit, and I still defend them with a lot of stuff. I mean, because like there's always has to be a base of criticism, regardless of what it is. No matter how much passion you have for it, you have to be able to take criticism. And this was their first event, so I gave them a leeway for that. It's just like this is the first event. They're still testing the waters and everything, but unfortunately, they didn't give a lot of what they promised. And a lot of people were upset because there is always pros and cons with everything. And we all know that the promos in this card game are money. And even though it is kind of frowned upon to talk about secondhand market, but you got to take it in what you can get. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of these cards, even if it's MetaZoo, Pokemon, whatever kind of card game, there is still money involved in this, regardless if it's price support or just the cards in general. That's how a lot of this stuff ends up becoming people's lifetimes and their livelihood. So a lot of people were relying on those promos and things, exclusivity things that they got at Roswell to make their money back or to recoup the stuff that they needed to make. But unfortunately, a lot of it wasn't delivered. I know a lot of people were, and I felt so bad for the judges, because it's like people are asking, hey, when are we getting spoiler packs? When are we getting promos? When are we getting everything? And poor Ted and the judges were just like, we don't know, man. We're in the same spot like you guys. We're in the dark and everything. But I mean, regardless of how controversial a lot of stuff was, for me, at the end of the day, is the connections I made with a lot of the people. I was at the con and at the event, and I could care less about the promos because of the connections I made with these people, and ended up becoming way more than it was. And I really appreciated that because of MetaZoo.
Well, it seems like you're in it for like the love of the TCG, the love of the community, the love of, the relationships, the experience, the, all of that stuff that comes with it. So, and that's how I am with it too, man. So and I get, some people can get upset over that kind of stuff, but, I believe in the team. I believe that they're actively always making changes, always trying to make things better. And I think we're only going to see better things.
Oh yeah, because I know like a lot of people were skeptical about Salem, because once they announced for Salem's for the Seance event, a lot of people were just bagging on MetaZoo. Were like, nah, I'm not doing it. It's not. It's going to be Roswell all over again. And I even to myself, even hearing all this stuff from closer friends, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it to them. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. If I can get some tickets, which I was able to, shout out to again MetaZoo Collector. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna go. And if it ends up being like Roswell all over again, then I'm just not gonna go. I'm just gonna go strictly to collect the cons and those kinds of events, because traveling and all that stuff does get expensive. So I'm driving all the way to Salem was a thing. So it's just like, I'm gonna go this one time, and if this ends up being like Roswell again, then that's it. But I'm keeping my hopes up, and I am so glad I did, because Salem was fantastic. They rocked Salem so well. Such a great location. When people ask me how Salem was, it literally felt like Halloween Town from the Disney Channel. Like, it is crazy how night and day Roswell was compared to Salem. And I know that the MetaZoo team did focus a lot about the feedback and everything, because they got the promos, they got everything right. They made it more like the enclosed kind of thing, where that's why I did like that. Instead of like, hey, anybody can come, it's like, no, you have to be able to do all these, like, meet the criteria to get here, and you get in. And they took care of everybody at the events, where they started giving people like, oh, you're wearing a MetaZoo shirt, here's a booster box. Oh, you're wearing this, here's Pin Club and all that stuff. They were just handing out goodies to everybody. And I don't know if I can find it. I'll look for it later, but I actually was able to get a wine bottle that they had for MetaZoo, like with the sticker and everything. So I got a wine bottle for that. So
that's kind of cool.
But I loved it. The event was everything. I definitely need to go back. It was such a trip, and I really hope they do something where we go back to Salem again.
No, I was really salty. I couldn't make it to Salem because I was doing Rocky Horror that weekend, and there's just no way I could make it because we had a performance. But yeah, Salem actually sounded like it was amazing, and I kind of like, to back up what you were saying too. Mothman Festival was one of those where people thought it was just going to be, it's going to be this little thing. It's not going to really be anything big. And there were, almost as weird as it sounds, more people that visited the MetaZoo booth at Mothman Festival in Point Pleasant than at the Collecticon that was that weekend. Like that Collecticon, and there weren't that many. That wasn't MetaZoo. There just weren't that many people at that Collecticon for some reason. And so it was interesting. I mean, and because of it, it's made this promo, still worth a good amount of money.
I want it so
bad. Don't hate me. I love you. But it's one of the, and we had to wait a minute to get that promo. But I don't know. I'm still, like, I know there's a lot of people upset about like the Chippy Babe or so from CryptidCon, and I'm not upset that I haven't received that yet because I know that I'm still going to get it. I'd rather them take their time, make it right, get it right, and ship it out than haphazardly put it together and then ship it out.
Exactly. Yeah, I was sad because I had to choose to either go to, I think, what was it, Colorado Collecticon or Mothman Festival. I'm pretty sure because it was literally another Collecticon at that same moment. I don't know if it was Kansas or Colorado. Weekend. It was one of those two, but I was like, it's either I go to Mothman Festival or go to Colorado. And I was just like,
well, that's how it is this year too. You either can go to Charlotte Collecticon in North Carolina or you can go to Mothman Festival.
Well, of course, Mothman Festival, because if we're going with everything, that should be the Dark Tower.
Yep.
So,
plus, if you have to experience Mothman Festival at least once, even outside of MetaZoo itself, just the festival, the festival itself was a blast last year. MetaZoo being across from the Mothman Museum made it so much better. And I've gone on about how amazing Jet was. Like, Jet literally talked to every single person in that line. She signed things nonstop for like 8 to 10 hours both days. You had Bob, you had Ted. Like, they had a very small crew there, and they kicked ass, to use the phrase. I don't curse that. Next might be the first time.
There we go.
But no,
you're already being the sinner. Let's go.
I've always talked about how impressed I was of Bob and Dee and Ted and Jet and all of them at Mothman, because it was like 22,000 people on Main Street in Point Pleasant, and they rocked it the entire 2 days. So
yeah, like that, and that's the thing is, like, I love that, and that's a new thing too with this community in MetaZoo is, like, no other card game gets hyped over their artists. Like, a lot of like artists in other card games are just like, people look at the card like, oh, that's pretty, and that's it. But here we actually get to be like, have a connections with these artists, have conversations with them, and that's something that's so new to a lot of TCGs. And I do hope that new and up and coming TCGs kind of do that, because for a lot of these games, if it isn't for the artist, a lot of these games would be dead in the water. So for MetaZoo to like showcase their artists, to like put them in like high up there, so it's like, hey, these people are here, they're getting what they deserve, they're getting their roses, and for the community to have such high respect for them, and for them to actually show that respect back to us, because like I've never heard a single person have a bad experience with any artist from MetaZoo.
You're right, actually.
And it's because
I don't think I have either.
Yeah, exactly, because they have actual genuine love. And I think for me, like, one of my best like memories with the artists is like, and this is what I actually found appreciation for them, is that during Collecticon, I mean, Caster Cup, when we were all lining up for the cards to get signed and everything, Andy was passing out staff packs for the artists, and they were opening their packs and everything. But like seeing them get excited for the same cards that we got excited for was amazing. Like they're also, like, you can tell that they actually have genuine love for the game that they're help build. Like I was seeing Chris trade with Poncho. People were getting their own card signed and everything. Afton was getting really giddy because I think someone gave her a unicorn because she loves the unicorn card. So it's like seeing them get all excited for the same cards, and they get to draw these cards, but them actually having that genuine love for the game is just amazing.
Well, they don't actually get to see the cards until.
Well, like, I meant like, them. Yeah, like, I meant like
I didn't know that
when they draw them. But yeah, they don't. Like, they don't.
Crazy. Yeah. They don't get to see the finished product until That's why a lot of times when you go to a con, especially with a newer set that just came out, and you hand them a card, they'll take it and look at it for a minute because they've never literally seen the physical card. They've only seen the art that they shared. And that, I don't know, there's something really cool about that too. Like, I have like one or two first signed. Of course, they're from Jet. She's my favorite. But it was really, really cool to share that moment with her where she was looking at it. And like this, it's the Snallygaster from Hero Quest. Yeah. And she was like, I've never seen the card in the physical. Like it's something cool actually about sharing that moment with the artists.
And they're all down to earth, man.
Oh yeah.
Like all the art, even the ones we've had on here, you're just having a normal conversation with regular people, man. There's no ego. That it's actually pretty awesome to see that.
Yeah, and that's what I like. I love that, and it's just like, and I love that they take criticism so well, and they take everything with actual genuine love. Like, especially like if you're not following any of these artists on Instagram, you can see them posting like little sneak peeks of cards they're drawing or cards they're doing, and cards they've already made in the future, or even just doodles. Like you can see the passion that they put into the artwork. And you just gotta like appreciate that so well. And I love that about MetaZoo and their artists of that. It's just so well. My first sign was actually again with the Caster Cup. I actually have the first sign playmat by Mike for the Caster Cup.
Oh, that's cool.
Which blew my mind because I was like, when I went up to him and I actually got lucky getting the Manaya when it got released in the Wilderness binders. I actually got lucky to got one of them, and I went up to him and was like, "Hey, have you signed one of these yet?" He was like, "I have signed. I believe I signed it, but I've actually never signed the playmat." And I was just like, "Bro, I came late today, and you haven't signed this thing yet." Here you go. So
that's awesome.
And then my friend ended up getting signed by Mike too, and he was like, "You're like the fifth guy now that gets signed." He's like, "You know what? First time isn't bad." And Mike just signed it on his playmat.
I think I've seen that picture before, actually, of that playmat. I think I've seen that.
So it's so hilarious to me. I was just like, "Damn, can't be me."
That's great. So tell us a little bit about competing in MetaZoo tournaments and some of the more big, higher profile tournaments that you've competed in.
So with a lot when they started happening with Caster Society's events, their extravaganzas, man, like you can change, you can feel the atmosphere change the minute round one starts. And it's like that with every tournament that I've gone to so far, especially like the Collecticons, and then moving towards Towers now. Is like the minute round one starts, if you actually pay attention, you can feel the atmosphere change from everybody being high and nice and everything to just like, yo, well, I'm coming for them. I'm coming for the neck. I'm just like, dang. But it's so interesting. I think that's what I love about competitive games in a whole, is that everybody has everything. When I hear people say, "Oh, I'm not competitive," it's like, yeah, you are. You just got to tap into it. Everybody's competitive in one way or another. And especially with card games, when people think like, "Oh, it's not stressful, it's fine," it's like, no, your mind's going like fast. You're like thinking, it's like, all right, cool. I need to think of the next play. I got to think of a counter attack. I got to think of what I'm doing, what I'm reading, if I'm misplaying. And you have to think on a high speed level when it comes to a lot of that stuff, and a lot of people don't take that into account. So when people's like, "Oh, you're just playing a card game," it's just like, yeah, but depending on what you're playing for in that card game, you might be from like that whole meme where you're just like slouching and then you just move up to your seat. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how it is. Your mind just snaps in it. It's just like, all right, cool, I'm focused. I'm seeing what he's doing. And unfortunately, with the card games, there are cheaters. So it's like you got to even pay attention to that too as well. So it's like a lot of things where your head just starts turning. And you'd be surprised how a lot of people just like, man, I didn't think I could think like that. Like, I thought I was just going from A to B, but now I'm going A, C, D, E, everywhere. It's like you're getting going everywhere and fast. And especially the mood changes even faster once you get to top 32. Because at that point, it's just like, okay, at first, yeah, I'm playing because I might have a shot. But now it's just like, all right, I made it to day 2. I legit have a shot at winning this. Yeah. And that changes instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen it firsthand because you were at the water tower, so you saw.
Yeah, water tower. I definitely noticed what you're talking about. How like everything's joyful and happy, and then as soon as a round starts, it gets serious. And then it's interesting though because as soon as the round is over, it goes right back.
Yeah, you can switch up just like yeah, I'm a different guy.
Like, but yeah, there is that moment where, especially at the towers, because I haven't played it like a Collecticon or anything. I haven't played any like that sort of tournament. I did 2 towers though specifically. As soon as the round starts, it is game time. It is serious, and I noticed that like across the board with everybody that's competed at both towers.
Oh yeah, and this is what I'm looking. This is why I'm looking forward to MetaZoo's future, because right now everybody is kind of still focusing on playing meta decks, but I can't wait till we get to the point where we get to meme decks. That meme decks start winning actual big tournaments. Because that's when the real fun's going to start happening. Because playing in Pokemon and in Yu-Gi-Oh, where somebody wins a game with like a 60 card deck, which in Yu-Gi-Oh it's base 40 or 60, but you're more recommended to go for the latter, going to 40 because you're thinning your deck, you're able to go through everything. But seeing somebody meme a deck and go to first place and everybody's just blown away because it's like, all right, I just spent $200 on this deck, and you're telling me you just ran a bunch of commons and you won? How? So I can't wait for MetaZoo to get to that level where it's just like, yo, I won a deck with just nothing but chibis. With I believe Bats actually won a deck with a chibi deck back when Seance meta was happening.
Maybe that's why they postponed Forest, because that's what Forest would have been.
Exactly. So it's just like we're
just a bunch of commons and uncommon just swinging for ungodly amounts.
So we're seeing it. We're seeing it where it's just like a legit meme deck or a rogue deck is getting there to the point where it's just like, all right, cool. We're gonna start ramping it up. It's just like, oh, you think Quetz is bad? Nah. Hitting Gumbaroo attack where it's just like starts board wiping the field. How did that happen? Well, you gotta look. So
look what Abel did with the Snowing Terra at Earth Tower. Like, that's a really good example of what you're talking about.
Exactly. So we're going to get there. We're going to get there where we're going to start seeing a lot of road decks and meme decks getting to top tables, and I'm really looking forward to that.
So what was it like competing at Caster's Cup? Like, walk us through that.
Caster Cup, I'm not going to lie. My brain was half dead at that point because I did not sleep at all. I was going through a lot of cards, and this is what I would actually tell a lot of people when it's coming to this is that look, and I talked to Fajir about this, look to the past when it comes to these competitive games, because, and a lot of people here in, like, if anybody's here in DFW, when I play my Quetz deck is completely different between anybody else playing Quetz because of how I play my deck. It is so defensive that it scares people because I use cards like Anti-Potion. I meta Anti-Potion in my Quetz build, which throws a lot of people off, and I love seeing people's face get confused. So when I saw somebody make Anti-Potion shirts, I was just like, damn, I need to get one of those.
You saw my face when you mentioned it. I was like, what?
Exactly. So
your main deck Anti-Potion?
Yeah, because it's like the way I think of it is just like at the time, Quetz was literally a force to be reckoned. Like people were begging MetaZoo to nerf Quetz, which they nerfed the boy. They nerfed him bad in native. But before that, it's just like cool. I understand the people trying to be aggressive, but Quetz is already aggressive as is. Anti-potion literally screws up every other deck out there. So if someone like if you're going against fearsome critters, oh okay, cool. First turn fearsome critters is always aura, roperite, lightning in the bottle, and then flood a couple of fearsome critters in there or an artifact. Cool. What stops it? Anti-potion immediately.
Fair.
That's it. Once you do that, bring out. You already have Wasp. Bring out another creature or car. Kill roperite. All right, cool. You got one aura. I know you don't got anything else. Let's go to game 2. Instantly.
Wow. Okay.
So, and then once I started looking into it, and then I knew it was like, all right, cool. We're gonna start looking at the meta where it's like, all right, there's gonna be a lot of Quetz players. And here's a hidden gem that people didn't even look at was in Nightfall with Spooky Kite. And I love Spooky Kite. That thing is the bomb. So with Spooky Kite, it's an artifact. So it can't be dampened. It can't be negated. It's an artifact that is flying. And with its text, it's that when you can play it at any time, even during your opponent's turn, it puts fear on one card, and then it absorbs all the text or damage from a lightning page. So if you're mirroring against a Quetz, he swings, which always when there's a Quetz mirror, they either paralyze your Quetz or toxic water the Quetz. All right, cool. You bring your Quetz out, Spooky Kite, put fear on another card or that Quetz, and then just nullifies all the damage, and it absorbs it all. No residue, no difference taking, just takes it all. And then it's like, all right, cool, my turn, another turn. And that actually saved me at Collecticon LA, because I was going against another Quetz build, and I noticed that he had all aura, no beasties, and I had a full board, and he tried to blue jet strike me. But the minute he blue jet strike me, I brought out Spooky Kite, and I was like, hold up. I want to make sure this ruling's correct, because I don't want, like, this is a deciding factor, because he was literally like, I think like at 100 LP, and Lightning Terror was already out, and I already had two Quetzes on the field. So that would have been game. So I was like, let me get the head judge to make sure this is. Tajir got all the judges together with that ruling. He's like, yes, that is correct. It nullifies blue jet strikes. And I'm like, cool, that's game. So stuff like that is just like people tend to forget. And I think I know Kai's here with Witch's Lightning was also a huge thing that happened that people completely forgot, because Witch's Lightning does 20 damage to three beasties or something like that, which again people didn't notice because they're just fixating on just like literally running the best card or the best deck, but they tend to forget of the cards from the past that can come in clutch that isn't the general norm. So when finding all these cards that actually did so much damage, so much change, people tend to do that. So like once we start getting to future sets, which I hope MetaZoo doesn't go to a rotation ban list instead of they go to a ban list instead, or a semi list or whatever, like Yu-Gi-Oh's way, and not a rotation.
I actually kind of really hope that we go to a block set system where it's Cryptid Nation block, it'd be Yokai Island block. We can still have a Cryptid World block where it's all of the different blocks, but I don't know. I feel I don't know. I'm interested to see how Yokai is going to work when they introduce wind.
That is true. But like the reason I don't want a rotation is because of being playing competitive Pokemon. Is because once you hit a rotation list, literally all the other cards in the past become useless, and that is a big issue with a lot of card games. Is because once they do that, especially with MetaZoo, since it's barely growing right now, doing something that's going to kill a set before a new a set list is going to just destroy that kind of marketplace for that. Because then at the point it's just like, cool, it's either you're just going to collect it and that's it, or they end up reprinting the cards like they're doing now. It's like, cool, if you're using quest that was reprinted in Wilderness. You can use the same card from all the other ones, all the other variants. So them doing something like that might be able to work, but doing a
no,
rotation,
I see what you're saying, because like with certain cards though, like they're never going to reprint Chaos Crystal. So if we already had a Cryptidation Black, you wouldn't be able to use that in Yokai. So like I see what you're saying. So that makes sense.
So I do like that, the fact that they did a point where it's just like, cool, these are in the never reprint list. I do like that a lot, because now those cards do hold value, because the way like MetaZoo is going great. I know a lot of people are saying MetaZoo's dead and all that, which is a hilarious joke.
Right? It's like, okay, cool, you're selling the stuff for cheap. And that's the thing, though, is that every post where somebody's like, it's dead, I'm selling my stuff, it's sold.
But
I've seen almost every single post sell, instantly.
And I've seen so many, like people criticizing MetaZoo, like the whole thing with Seance, the mappable packs for Seance. The minute I see that, it's just like Pokemon literally had that same issue with Sun and Moon when it first came out. Sun and Moon was legit mappable, where the second pack in the box was the hit, and then you followed that pattern, and you already got the hits. Same thing with, and then the whole big scandal with Pokemon when the employee took all the cards, and which was stupid that the dude decided to just sell at one shop, which that's just like me being like a criminal. But doing all that is just like, every card game has their little drawbacks, their little issues now and then. But as long as they're able to see what they did wrong and then grow on that, then that's all it is. So with MetaZoo, all these cards now, especially from the ban list, if you're not stocking on the reprint, non-reprint list, if you're not stocking on those cards, later down the road, once we hit Yokai and all that stuff, it's going to get harder, because that's what I love that MetaZoo is telling everybody. It's like, all right, cool, there's only 250,000 boxes of this one and that one and that one. Sooner or later, more people are going to come in. More people are going to get introduced to the game. More people are going to rip all these boxes, where it's going to be like, hey, these boxes that were $100 are actually legit gaining prices to like $200, $250, because either they're playable or collectible. And Native is a prime example of its collectability and its competitiveness with the fusion auras, and also the hits like Pialzabur and Wendigo. So it's like, it has a best mix of both worlds, where that set, and then plus the fact that there's 4 different box art, that set's going to be extremely openable. Like, people are ripping that thing like crazy. It's going to get harder later down the road. And with all these fusions, and when I was talking to Fajir at Collecticon Dallas, when I actually gave him an idea, so this might bite people later down the road. He told me that it's just like, you gave me a nasty idea. I was just like, damn. So I told him I would love to see an art like, so with fusion auras, we're seeing a lot of beneficial of like, all right, cool, if you're running a mixed aura deck, you're benefiting a lot. What if we get an archetype that punishes a player for using a mixed aura deck or a mono deck? So we get cards where it's like, cool, if your opponent has a field of nothing but water cards, do an extra 10 damage or 20 damage or spread damage or stuff like that. Because we're seeing a lot of benefits of running mix and mono decks, but we're not seeing a bunch of negatives and punishable cards. So that might come down the line.
Interesting. That's an interesting.
And I would love to see that.
I can't get the comments to actually show up anymore for some reason. It actually decided to stop working. But just to go over, like Darwin says, towers over card rotations in his opinion. Medikai saying, I hope it's forever growing, but there's also sanctioned events for set blocks as a fun nostalgia event. Hasbar said Magic the Gathering has actually mappable booster boxes for many sets. MetaZoo wasn't even mappable, and that's true, where the true definition of mappable is being able to be like, it's going to be this card and this card and that card and that card. Technically what happened with MetaZoo is it's traceable to basically you know where the hits are for it. I still think though, and I always take every opportunity to say this, I still think one of the reasons we haven't seen that many secret rares from Seance is because they are in those reverse hollow boxes that people aren't opening.
Yeah, 100%.
So like, if people want to sell stuff, sell those, because like, I'm kid you not, I know I have this feeling that there are secret rares in those boxes because we like literally stopped seeing any SRs whatsoever. And the only thing that I can come up with is those. No one's opening up the full reverse hollow booster boxes. And I'm like,
and then to go off with what you were saying, man, like, you know, once people tend to focus on negatives, you can do a million right things, do one wrong thing, and that's all everybody wants to talk about. So I believe it was Hasbro earlier saying that should you know, hype up the good things that go on more than just the negatives and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and that's what like for me, that's what I've always tried to do with my content and everything. Like, because I noticed when people were saying like, "Oh, there's not events in my town," or "There's not anything going on with mine," I got like for a while during the summer, it was kind of dead here in Dallas. So I messaged a couple of friends. I was just like, "Hey, how about we have a 4th of July tournament?" And another friend hosted the event, and we ended up making a video because it was part of also the contest for the 4th of July for the promo, 4th of July promo. I
remember that, yeah.
So we ended up doing that, and that's what I wanted to do with my content. I wanted to showcase like all you have to do is grab a bunch of friends and just play the game and have fun with it. Like, and I get it that a lot of places do kind of lack with like needing support for the game, where it's like, oh, we need, like, stores are kind of hesitant because the whole NFT situation that's happened and all that. But that also falls on the player and us in the community that we have to show them like, hey, there's interest in the game, because at the end of the day, money talks. And if stores and shops don't see anybody coming to the shop and playing these games, then they're just gonna be like, oh well, we spent like $3,000 on MetaZoo and no one showed up anymore, so we thought the game died out, so that's it. But in reality, maybe the people stopped going because they either stopped seeing tournaments events happening, or people just kind of stopped losing interest. But like, it's on us as the community to show like, hey, we're here, we want these events, like host these events at your stores where we can come and play and we support. Because that's how it was here in Dallas, is that we were supporting, like, right now we are playing because of TCG Labs at a game place called Farming Feeds, where it's like a place where people can get drinks and food, but also play video games and watch streamers and all that stuff. And we have our own section where we play MetaZoo every Friday. And that is like literally, as long as we have a place, we'll go to it. But we would love to have a store where we can actually legit play and do stuff. So it just falls on us as a community to show that, like, hey, we're here. We want to play this game. Let us play the game. Let us host these events in your stores. And that's why the partners are here, because we want to support the partners that support the games. And I love that the partners do so much where they, like, I haven't seen a single bad partner where it's just like they bring out product themselves and then tell people, hey, buy some stuff for the store because the store is hosting us. Let's get this place going. That's phenomenal. And I know now that MetaZoo finally, and I'm really excited about this, is that they finally announced the tournament packs for store championship events. I love that so much.
The MZO booster boxes, the MZO packs, I'm MZOs, so stoked that MZOs are getting rewarded.
So MZOs needed love, and us, like, now us, and then the fact that they added booster packs for the tournament, the trophies, that they each have different artworks on them. So if you, like, now there's a reason to chase these first, second, and third trophies, even if you already gotten one, because now you can go and get the different variants of those cards, like Poncho's first edition first place prize trophy. And I even told him, I was like, I'm gonna win you one, because he told me that he can't get these cards because, like you said, like, they don't see them until a person brings them to him. And I told him, like, and him and Chris are like, I'm gonna win you these cards and I'm gonna bring them to you.
Wait, you mean that guy that does construction?
Yep, the construction man. Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I told him, I was just like, I don't, like, for me, it's like, again, I understand the value of the money and everything, but if it means hooking up a homie, I could care less. So I told him, like, I'm gonna get you these cards. I'm gonna win them after I win myself one. I'm gonna win you one, and you're gonna have a nice time.
That's awesome. And see, and that's one of the reasons I love you, and I was so excited that you wanted to come on here, is because you are such a pillar in this community of positivity. I mean, like you said before early in the stream, you were not hesitant to actually criticize, but you're criticizing because of the amount of love that you actually have for the franchise and the community at large. And that, like, again, just that speaks volumes about who you are and how much love you actually have for this game.
Yeah, because it's good. Like for me, I don't take myself seriously at all. I mean, true, I named myself the Demon Fergus, so I don't take myself seriously at all. So when people just say my name, or like I was telling you earlier, like Fergalicious and all that stuff, like it is what it is, and I'm happy with it, because it's like I want a positive experience with people. I want to connect with people, and it's kind of new to me when I go to these events and people actually like walk up to me, like especially like at and I know you've probably felt this whole too, Turmentic, was like getting people coming up where like they're excited because they've seen your videos or like seen your lures and stuff. And especially in at the gala, I was having people like come up to me like, "Hey, I've seen your videos. I know your voice and all that stuff." I'm just like, "Oh, okay, well, you want to take a picture and all that stuff, or like just talk?" And like, I want to talk to them about the game. And like, you're like the guy with the lore. I'm here like, yo, let's talk about gameplay. Like, so what are you rocking? What are you doing? What are you doing? All this stuff. So I love having these connections with everybody, even if it's a playful match or just a casual, like, what's your favorite cryptid and all that stuff. I love it, because it's like that's the whole point, is just to make a positive experience with everybody you meet, because at the end of the day, that's what they take with them home with them. So why not make it fun? Why not make it where it's just like, why not make it legendary for them and for yourself also?
See, I figured it out, Mike. All right. He has the same type of energy talking about gameplay that I have when I talk about the lore. You can see it actually in his face.
Oh yeah,
you get that. You get pumped where you got to start using your hands and talk, and you get louder, and your facial like all of it. See, it just clicked to me right now.
Same thing with the lore, man. Oh man, when it comes to lore, whoo, I love
some of the conversations we've had, dude, have been amazing, and I love how you take little snippets. How you you haven't really done it so much. Like, you've covered more like gameplay and actual.
Yeah, I have.
You used to take little snippets of the beasties and give out some information and stuff. And I used to love those clips every time I saw one.
So yeah, and this so with the whole lore thing, because when I was getting, like, once I started making content and everything, I was noticing there was no one talking about lore of the cryptids, because when I was going to these events and everything, people were like, when I was overhearing people talking, or I was talking to my opponents, they're like, "Oh, like, where do they come up with these ideas for these cards and everything?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's just like, yeah, like Mothman and Wendigo and all that stuff. Like, where do they come up with these ideas? They're like, "Well, these are real creatures, you know that, right?" It was just like, what? Like, yeah, these are like things based off of actual lore. Like, for example, I was talking to my friend, it's Bunny Hunter, who also does content. He's going to be focusing a lot on more gameplay, because that guy, if you're talking about me talking about gameplay, he goes deep diving into gameplay. And he's like, I can't wait for the stuff he's coming out with. But he was like, he saw Polybius from UFO. He was like, "Oh, that's a cool card." And I was like, "You know that actually happened?" He was like, "Are you sure?" I was just like, "Yeah." There was a whole case of people getting sick and going crazy because of a random arcade game that would pop up in random shops, to the point where the FBI and Men in Black started getting involved to the arcade game, to the point where Nintendo had to put it to the secret vault. So the legend goes.
Yeah.
And he looked it up because he thought I was bullshitting him. He was just like, "No." And he looked it up, and there it is.
Yeah.
And once I started doing that, I was just like, you know what? Nobody's doing this stuff, so might as well start making content of it. So I started doing cryptid lore videos, and that's when I started working with Caster Society, because they wanted to branch out and make content themselves, but they started asking me to do content for them. So I started doing cryptid lore videos, and then that's when you talked to me about that. And I was just like, I got no ownership of this, man. And you do it, and you rocked it. You took it the idea and ran, and I loved it.
Yeah,
I
had to.
like, there's my boy.
Permission for when I came up with the Sam scripted collection idea. I had to ask your permission because I didn't want it to be like I was. Again, I never want to actually make any content creator that makes MetaZoo content to ever feel like I'm competing with them. If anything, I'm trying to lift you up. Every single person in this community that does anything to actually further this franchise, this group of friends that I have made, I want to lift you up. And so I've reached out to other people with other stuff that I've done just to make sure, because like I don't want to step on anybody's toes ever.
Yeah, but I saw that, I was just like, yo, my bad.
But you
my man
fully
took that idea
encouraged me. You were like, no, you do that now. Make it.
Yep.
Like, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that conversation.
Because it was just like, for me, it was just like, again, like I told you, like I was like, I don't own this idea. Like, you do it, man. But like, and I love that you took it and you put your own spin to it, like the whole Sam's lore and everything. You took a more deep dive approach to it, and I love that, because the way I was focusing mine, I was like, well, I might as well use my voice as the content for it. And what I guess would like really help like push me to make more content, it was just like I was reading on some of the comments from Cast Society since they upload the videos on their channel, and I was seeing like people getting excited for the lore videos, and then like, yeah, I watched this with my daughter, like we always watch this stuff, and I was just like, damn, that made my heart grow 3 times that day. So I like stuff like that. I loved it, and that's when I started shifting to more competitive and more tournaments, because again, there was a market where nobody was making those types of videos. So I was like, well, I mean, I want to give coverage, because I started seeing a lot of people talking on either the Instagram or on the Discord where like, oh, I wish I saw content of how like the tournaments are or the cons. And then that's when we started seeing Epic doing his amazing tournaments, and then that's where I shouted him out, because I was just like, when I did the Salem video, and that's the first time I actually met Epic, I was just like, hey, like I didn't even tell him or anything. I was just like, hey, if y'all want a deeper dive and an amazing look into what exactly was going on behind screens and everything, go check out Epic's video, because he is such an amazing, like his photography and video is amazing.
His drone work is phenomenal.
Yes, it's phenomenal. So it was just like, I was like, I'm not doing anything like that, so let me send people that way, because they're gonna love it. Because and I feel like, and just like how you said, like building everybody up as a content creator, that's how it should be. Like I never understood the whole, oh yeah, I'm not talking to so and so because they started doing this and that. It's just like, why be so hateful when we can just literally help out each other in this kind of space instead of just bringing each other down? So it's like, cool, I'm not doing any deep dives. Turmentic is. All right, cool. I tell people, hey, check out his video. Look at all the cool stuff he's doing, and the parody skits as well. Like the Caster HTX, they do amazing skits where people weren't doing skits like
They're
that.
They're an inspiration to me, man. That's why I make half the skits I do, and I always tag them, because like they're the reason I make the skits that I do. Because
so like,
on point.
Exactly. So I started telling people like, go there. Amazing videography, like MetaZoo Black Market. He does amazing video work, and he has like a bunch of sample cards. I was just like, dang, let me try to see if I could trade him for a Mothman or an
some of his reels are crazy.
But yeah, he does amazing work too. So it's like, for me, it's just like, let me send people to that point, and if I can try, like, even if I can just inspire somebody or like help somebody get to that point where they're like, oh, I didn't know that this content creator exists. Now I'm like, I love their work. That to me, seeing other people go up is the best, and that's what I want to see. So I try to bring that from the competitive gameplay to also the in-person, where it's like, cool, I want, the only way this game spreads is that we show peace, love, and positivity. It's like we push each other up as content creators, as competitive players, and that's the main reason I did the 1 year that collab of Class of 2023, because I wanted to do something where it's like, cool, I want to bring, and we're also going to do that this year too. So this is going to be for everybody. So I wanted to bring some light to content creators, competitive players, casual players, MZOs, everybody, because at the end of the day, MetaZoo isn't just because of one thing. It's because of all of us getting together and building the brand. And nobody wants to be involved if everybody's either going to be salty and spiteful. It's not going to work. It's like take for example Yu-Gi-Oh. That was one of the most toxic communities I've ever been a part of, and it's not trying to talk trash about it, but it is what it is. Mm-hmm. And when I went from Yu-Gi-Oh, where it was just like it was so, and I know a lot of people who played Yu-Gi-Oh, it felt it too, because it's like you can't leave your binder unattended, you can't leave your deck box anywhere, you got to have everything with you, because it was a known thing where in the Yu-Gi-Oh community people would steal your stuff, and I've had my stuff stolen multiple times. Same thing with my friend, and it sucks. But and then when I shifted to Pokemon, it was such a complete different track where it was just like people were coming up to me, like, hey, I know you're new, how you doing, like what are you trying to work with? And people were showing me the ropes on cards, because coming as a competitive player to Pokemon, it's like I wanted to know nothing about meta or anything. I wanted to come in fresh, like Ash does every single journey. He comes in fresh where he doesn't know anything, and that's what I wanted to do with Pokemon.
I have this Pikachu, but I don't know what happened to all of these other higher level Pokemon that I've gotten from all these other regions.
It's like, man, I got a God tier Charizard, but nah.
I don't. I have a Pidgeot, but I got rid of it. I mean, I have a Lapras, but I got rid of it. Like, I had a Goodra, but I got rid of it.
Exactly.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go off.
No, you're good. But. So, like, stuff like that, it was just like, and I was so confused. So I was just like, yo, these people are actually showing me kindness. Like, I wasn't, like, used to that. So coming from there, I went like to Dragon Ball Super. It was a mix of both. Some people being bad and some people being alright. And then going to Digimon. But it was like once I got to MetaZoo, and the fact that I felt like I was one of the few first people, especially here in DFW, was just like, all right, I have a chance to put myself in a great community and build a great community. I'm not going to try to fumble that back. I want this place to be a great environment. I want to have fun with everybody. So when it came to new people coming involved, when it was like people getting into tournaments, I would coach people playing against me in events, because I was like, I want them to have a good time. And sometimes I'll take the L and just lose. But like seeing them being excited, and then after that being like, yo, now I'm gonna make this deck and this deck. I was like, cool. I didn't need that win. That guy needed it more than me. And now that guy is like rocking, going to top tables or like having fun. Now he's teaching someone else. And all it took for me to take the loss, I'll take that loss every day. And that's what I loved about being a competitive player and playing and building with this community, because it felt like a family. I wanted to build this family, and I wanted to help as much as I can. And then once I started seeing other content creators get involved, that's when I started seeing your content, everybody's. I was like, well, nobody has done a video where it's like everybody together. So I was like, you know what? I got the idea because I saw on TikTok the makeup community was like dropping paintbrushes or like little brushes, and then they were catching it and then shouting out other content creators. And I was like, that would be a cool idea to do with a deck box or something, where like we will toss it at different directions and get everybody involved. And I started reaching out to people I've never talked to, and I've met so many great people because of that. And I was like, yo, and unfortunately I did get some people kind of upset because it was just like, oh, I wasn't included in the playing mat or in the video, which I was just like, hey man, we can't please everybody, because it's like I got the amazing Michael Ryan to like the guy that lives, like, he's in France, and his artwork, he's done so much artwork for Cat Society, and the fact that he was willing to do that for free and do a lot of that stuff. He did it for free and everything. And the fact that I gave him just an idea and he ran with it and he blew it out of the park. And I told him, like, would you be down to do it again for next year? He was like, oh, absolutely.
The crazy thing too is that you can go and you can download the actual image for free on his website. He never charged anybody for any of it, and you can just get a playmat of it made. It's amazing to me.
Because that's what I wanted. I wanted is like, you know what better gift for the community rather just the video is like have it where people can download their own playmat. Because I was getting people asking me like, oh, how do I buy this, or where do I go? It's like, you can just download it for free and just go wherever you want. And that's what I want to continue doing for the following years. It's just like, it doesn't feel right to be like, all right, cool, I'm gonna make this playmat with everybody's image and then charge people for it. It's just like, nah, that didn't feel cool. So I was like, nah, it's free. You can share it with your community, your own personal community, or do it yourself, and rock a playmat where you're just like, hey, I'm a part of this community, because that's how it should be. So seeing everybody getting super excited for the playmat and the video, that to me was like the best gift ever.
I was trying to upload the playmat, but it won't let me actually do it because it's not the right file size. It's such an awesome picture.
Oh yeah, I love it, and it's just like he had so much fun, like seeing his process, and this is what I love when I talk to the artists and everything, because like seeing their process in art and how they get from a literal line to a masterpiece and is just amazing. And seeing him how he worked from like giving him the idea, I told him like, how about, because I also got the idea from the one of the playmats from MetaZoo, the where everybody's at the carnival. So I told him, was just like, how about we do something like that, where we start seeing a lot of people just like in the town or in the carnival or just walking around, and then with their favorite beastie involved in there. And then we see you with the Bible, and we see a lot of other cool characters, and then we even see some MetaZoo staff. And if you look closely in the middle of the playmat, you see actually Mike walking the opposite direction of everybody. So like him putting his little Easter eggs and everything in there, and just like going off of it, I was just blown away through the whole process, where it was so hard to keep it a secret from people who were actually collabed in it.
That's not going to do it justice, but that's the picture right there.
Yeah, like look at that. Like there's so much great thing, and then we see Grim's World, who started doing the fan artists Discord, which again, this is like people I wanted to showcase because of how much stuff they do for this community that they don't get the recognition they deserve. So I was like, well, I mean, if no one's gonna do it, I might as well do it myself.
Yeah, I love
the Where's Waldo thing, man.
Oh yeah, 100%. It feels like it.
Yeah, Kevin, I'll actually find the link and I'll put it in the description of the video after the video's we're over.
Yep, you see, speak of the devil, you see MetaZoo Black Markets there. See my man doing work. I need to get one of those jackets.
Shout out MetaZoo Black Market, man. I need to
get one of those
jackets. Consistent, man, and awesome videos, man.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'll make sure to actually get the link to that image though and put it inside the description, so if anybody wants to download it, they actually can get it played into a playmat. I want it as a playmat so bad. I still haven't actually gotten it made yet.
I feel like the lore of Yu-Gi-Oh leads itself to folks inspire villains and anti-heroes. Yeah.
He's calling you a villain, Demon.
Oh, yeah, of course. I am a villain. I love being the villain in people's stories. That's what I'm telling you. Like, if it means me taking a L when I take a loss with people, I mean, I over-exaggerate. I'm like, please.
See, I didn't even follow Yu-Gi-Oh! Once y'all are getting all into these Yu-Gi-Oh! discussions, I'm like, all right, I'll
draw back a bit. But no, like for me, it's just like I love playing the part. It's if it's being the villain, I love playing the villain. It's always fun. It's easy for me. Or if I have to play the guy that just saves the world, then screw it, I'll do it too. But it's just like play a character, just do it.
Are you going to be in Kansas City?
Kansas City. That's this week or next week?
This weekend.
No, because I'll be focusing on Flame Tower.
Okay.
I know. Okay. I'm sad. I was just like, it's one of those moments where I was just like, choose. I'm just like, please.
No, I feel that. I was hoping you were going to be there. So, because him and I, we have a master plan of something that we're planning. And
I can't wait to show you guys.
We haven't started it yet, but I was going to say we could start it this weekend in Kansas City. But you guys just have to wait and wonder what it is. But I'll just tell you, it's fantastic and amazing. It will culminate at Dark Tower. I will say that. That's all I'm going to tell you right now.
It'll be extremely interesting.
So, I'm assuming, like, what's your favorite aura type to actually play?
When I first started, and still is, it's going, of course, dark. Although I felt like I did get the brand of a lightning player for a while. Dark has always been one of my favorite decks because of the whole OTK with Napa Rebop. It was always so fun to pull off. I will say this though, and this is what made me laugh, that I've been accused of cheating because of an event over here at Texas. It was the King of the Chill event by two casters because of my anti-potion in the main deck. And I loved it.
Really?
Yeah, so I was playing against a guy that was using two guys, and it was both the people running the same deck. They're both running Napa Rebops. It's because it's, again, since, like, and that's why I encourage people to play different aura types out of your comfort zone, because that's when you start learning how to counterbalance those type of decks. And since my deck was pretty much built to counterbalance everybody and have an answer for every situation, the minute the guy was like, all right, cool, Napa Rebop, Chaos Crystal, and then he did Power Up Red, and he tried a lightning in the bottom, he's like, nope, anti-potion. And same face, just like extremely shocked. All right, cool, next turn, I already have 2 artifacts up, bring it out, and Absorb Aura in the main deck, take out the crystal, bring out Quetz because of Cryptonation, kill the Napa. I was like, all right, cool, what you got? Nothing. So, and then Bats and Modi were actually head judging the event. And both players, when I beat both players, they went up to Bats and Modi and was like, hey, that guy Demon is cheating because he knows what we're rocking, because he has anti-potion in his deck. Nobody main decks anti-potion. And since both Modi and Bats know me and they know how I play my deck, they're like, no, he mains it. And they're like, nah, we need proof. So they asked me, like, nah, show them the deck list. I don't care. Show them the deck list. And right then and there, anti-potion, 4 of them in the main deck.
Wow.
And they were just salty about that. And I was like, man, I didn't even win that event or got the top tables, but that was the prize for me. I was just like, all right, I'm done.
You know what's really funny about that is when I was first learning how to play MetaZoo, and I played Lightning, so and I would have Lightning in the bottles, and I was starting to try to think of the, like you were saying, the counters and stuff like that. And when I saw anti-potion, I was like, well, that would be good for Lightning in a bottle. Mm-hmm. And then a really seasoned player told me, don't put that in your main deck. You don't want to run that. Like, that's going to be a wasteful card. Like, I swear on my life, because that was like one of the first strategies I was thinking or found myself as I'm learning all the different cards, Mm-hmm. But I was talked out of putting that in.
A lot of people were until they started playing me, because it's like that. Because like it kills.
They were until they started playing me.
Because it's because like when, at the online event for Caster Society, I was going against an old friend that moved down to Houston, and he was on the event for the 1 year anniversary for Caster Society, their online TTS. And when he saw that I was playing Lightning, he was like, "Oh, okay, you're playing Lightning." He was like, "Wait, you're still rocking anti-potions, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, man, I'm gonna scoop. I'm not even gonna try," because it's like it kills water instantly. Frogs need lightning in a bottle to get efficient. Anti-potion, that little sucker, and is just like, all right, cool, dead in the water.
Yeah,
2 Hornet tokens is dead. So it's like, and that's what I loved about the way I built my deck, is like, Quetz was so strong that it didn't need any more support. It already had haste. It already had paralyze and first strike. The deck didn't need any more support to ramp it up. It was already ramped to a 10 when everybody else needed to catch up. But what was lacking was defenses. Morbius the Quetz, he's out. There's no recovery for that. He's gone. So I main deck 2 Dampens. And they always came in clutch. I main decked New Year's New Beginnings because of water players. Because the minute I heard them say, I'm a keep, all right, I'm willing to sack this hand. And the minute I do, just dread in their face. 2 or 1 frog, 3 lightning in the bottles. Their starting hand's gone. It was like, all right, cool, I can still recover. I still got 2 or 3 cuts in the deck. I'm fine. Having the spooky kite in the side deck and everything, it was just like, it was easy. And the way I thought with it was just like, cool, if I don't use anti-potion game 1 and I already won game 1, game 2, I'll still keep it because I have not revealed my hand. And I would look in my opponent's eyes when they would be like, all right, cool, I'm side decking. And like, I'm not. And it just the fear, because right there, you're playing mind games on people when you start doing things out of the norm. And that's what once you start getting to that point as a competitive player, it's just like you start thinking of stuff that once you start thinking out of the box, you start opening your mind to so many possibilities. And I love seeing people's faces when it's like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Everybody else rocks this. Well, like, yeah, everybody's rocking that, and that's why they're losing. Because you don't have an answer. So it's like
I've heard some players even say, like, when like really seasoned players, when they're playing against somebody that's not as good, they're gonna play slightly different. They're not gonna play with those same thought patterns, so it can actually throw them off at times.
Oh yeah, 100%.
How they're trying to do it.
Because you start focusing differently. Whereas it's like, okay, cool. I mean, it's like it kind of sounds bad, but it's just like, all right, guy, this guy's a beginner. I don't have to go as ham as I should be. And that's why for me it's just like when I play against, because like once you get into these events, especially in game one, whether it's Caster Cup or the Towers event or just locals, like when you're in the first three rounds, everybody's considered equal. But because of RNG, nobody's the mechanics isn't pairing us up with the next strong competitive player until you get to top table. So at the first 4 rounds, you're playing against people who don't really have that much experience in the top tables or still trying to get the hang of it and everything. So it's like, cool, I don't have to go this hard on this guy for no reason. So I have fun with it. Like I said, I tend to coach people because I can easily start picking, all right, cool, he's shaking from his hands. And I start talking to him, it's like, hey, is this your first event? And it's just like, yeah, I wanted to play this game. I wanted to get into it. This was the only event that was happening. I wasn't thinking I'm ready for this kind of stuff. And I was like, well, it's all right, man. Like, we're just here having conversations. Let's have some fun with it. And it's like, cool. Because like once you start playing in these events, it's like, cool, I can lose 1 or 2 rounds and then tie the third and still get to top table. So if I take this L, I take this L. But it's like, that point is like, cool, this guy is already focusing in. I'll tell him, hey, you should do this instead of that. I'll let you take it back and everything. So that's fine. But once you start getting to those tables when you're going top 32, it's like, all right, cool, I can't be relaxed anymore. I got to at least focus up a little bit. My opponent misplays, and this is something that I want everybody to get used to, and it's so bad, is that you cannot be mad when your opponent calls you out on a misplay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what annoyed me a lot at the water towers and at earth towers. And this is what I try to get my friends to start getting used to it, is that stop taking back misplays and be like, oh, I didn't mean to do this. Can I take it back? Because you can't be mad at the guy in front of you being like, I'm sorry, man, you can't do it. Because depending on these events, you're playing against you're playing against life-changing money. And you can't be mad at
professional events. They are not casual events.
Exactly.
Like, if it's a casual event, sure, take it back. If it's a professional event, no.
If we're playing,
it sounds heartless, but it's there is real money to be made with some of these actual and again, professional event. That is what the Towers and Casters Cup, they are pro events.
Because like if we're playing a Friday night locals, it's like, bro, you can take back as much as you want. You want to make a flashy move, you do it. You by all means. But it's like, cool, we're playing against a metal event. Whereas, like, for example, we're playing against the new metals. People are gonna change instantly. It's just like you can't be mad. So it's like when I go to these tower events and I'm hearing people having conversations like, yeah, I'm pissed because I misplayed and he didn't let me take it back, or he called judge on me for taking too long and all that stuff. Is just like, that's when you start noticing the veterans or the seasonal players from the casual players. Because it's just like, well, hey man, how long did you take? I was like, 4 or 5 minutes tops. It's just like, that's considered slow play. Between 2 to 3 minutes, you should be able to do an event, doing the turn. And then it's just
30 to 45 seconds, really.
Depending on your
not even like 2 to 3 minutes is generous.
Exactly. Like depending on your board, is like, cool, you got 1 card in your hand, you got 2 auras. What's taking you 5 minutes to do something?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. So it's like you start looking at that. So when people tell me like, he called judge, he rule sharked me because of a misplay, it's like, it's not a rule shark, man. You messed up. It is what it is. So when I play against people and we're already like, and especially once it starts getting the crunch time, when it's like, all right, cool, this is literally game 6 and I need to win this game. If not, I don't win this, I do not go to day 2. And if you your opponent tells you, hey, you misplayed, I'm sorry, you can't do that, or he calls a judge, you can't be mad at these people because it's like it's life and death for a lot of these people. A lot of people need to get there, and if that hurts your feelings, I mean, tough cookies. Like, it is what it is. So that's why I want people to start getting that stigma. Is like, when you go to these events, you cannot be mad if you get rule sharp or if your opponent tells you. Now, of course, you have to be respectful. You got to be respectfully when you do it. Like, when I tell people, like, I'm sorry, because I like, again, once you start playing other decks, you start seeing, okay, cool, he was trying to go for this combo, but he messed up and played something else. It's just like, hey man, I'm sorry, you were trying to do something else. I know what you're trying to do, but you can't take it back. And it's like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to lose from that because it's like, nah, I didn't mean to do that. So it's like, all right, cool. I can call the judge, tell them the board state, what happened. The judge will side with me because at the end of the day, you played it, you let go of the card, you did what you had to do. You can't be mad at the situation. You got to take into account, regroup, move forward. Because at the end, and I guarantee you, most of the time, that misplay might have been a blessing. And it is so crazy to me how many times that ends up happening for a lot of people that I've seen play. Whereas it's like, oh, you didn't get a chance to do A, but route B was a way different approach and actually helped you in the long run.
Water Tower, for example, drawing the second card from having the frog out. There was a lot of people that I played that kept forgetting to draw that second card. And sometimes it helped them, and sometimes like it gave me an advantage because I was able to get 2 out. So yeah, I get, and that's the other I wanted to add to what you were saying is that with MetaZoo being so new, don't be surprised too at some of these tournaments if they have to make rulings on the fly because they're with every card basically being allowed to be played. They're going. That's one of my favorite things about MetaZoo. Side note is the people who are new to the game coming in, looking at cards differently, putting different combinations we haven't seen together yet. And there are going to be times in these high profile tournaments where they have to make rulings on the fly because that sort of scenario has never been put in place before. And so it's going to be really interesting over the next 2-3 years. I feel we're going to see a lot of hard rulings, very similar to like what we saw at Earth Tower. And it's sometimes it's going to be upsetting, but it's going to be one of those things where those rulings have to take place for the future growth of the game.
I will say, I will add on that though. I've told Fajir, I was just like, yeah, you should not have because that whole ending for Earth Tower was super controversial because of the judge's misplay on that point. It was just like, y'all should not have had a non-master MCO judging for literally the finals in that match. That I would say that was on MetaZoo's fault, or at least the judge's fault, because it's like, once literally when you're hearing the explanations from those judges, like, oh, I wasn't paying attention, I wasn't doing this, just like, you weren't paying attention.
That's your job, yeah.
You weren't paying attention. Like, that is your job, dude. Like, literally, you just sacked some dude. And when I was looking at both their hands and hearing from other people who was literally watching, I was like, the second place could have won, but you literally messed him up, or at least had a chance to win. But you literally changed the whole game point just because you weren't paying attention or you didn't read a card right. Because us as the outside, the peanut gallery, we're not supposed to be able to chime in on the event. And I do get on people when I like, especially on the top tables. I was getting on people a lot on at the water towers when people were huddling over everybody. I was because they were about to
like back up, guys.
I was going up to people. I was like, hey, you need to keep it down because like these people are focused. They are playing. Like, you lost. Like, give these people respect that they deserve for getting here. Like, I was telling the judges, like, hey, you better tell them to shut up because it's just like, these people need to focus. They earned their respect. They earned where they were in these situations. So give them the proper respect. If you're gonna watch, great, do it. But at least be a step 2 or step back. Don't be hovering over the guy, being like, all right, what you doing? It's like, no, you got to give them the respect they deserve. But when it came to the Earth Tower, it's just like everybody was watching, and I was just like, we're all like, it was dead quiet where everybody was paying attention, but the judges weren't. And it's just like, but when you see the judges, I think they were like intermediate judges or something, but like not Bajir or the master judges were watching the tournament. I was just like, at the finals, I was just like, that was straight up on y'all. y'all, like it was a bad call, but it is what it is. Everybody still came out happy, but
I mean, at the end of the day, they handled it.
They handled it the best way they could have, and it's just like they restarted it, and it's just like, hey, we move forward. But it was just like could have been prevented if y'all did this other step. Y'all went in there and actually just
see. And it's interesting because we talked to Abel a little bit about it when we interviewed him, and I could see how that ruling could have been interpreted in two different ways. So, and I see both sides of that of those interpretations as well. And so again, that's kind of what I was getting at too about like the hard rulings. That was probably one of the hardest. And when I say like a hard ruling, I mean something that actually changes the meta in some way. I don't mean as like it was a hard choice. And that was probably the hardest ruling I can think of to date.
Oh yeah,
only because it literally and it goes above the snowing Terra itself to where it says that as soon as a card is in the arena, that it supersedes everything else. So there are scenarios and combinations that we haven't thought of yet that are going to be negated because of that ruling. Yeah. That's why I say that was a hard ruling. And that changed the overall meta, in my opinion. We might not recognize it now, but we will in the future.
But you see, this is where that could have been avoided if Fajir or the Master MZO were there. Because at the end of the day, they get the last say, but I don't think they talk to them about the ruling, and they just continue to go off. So that's why a lot of people were mad because it was just like, why weren't the proper people there at that moment? Why wasn't? And I get it.
Well,
it was a tiring.
I will say in the defense though that they did have the proper people there. It's just that some of the people that were there weren't paying attention. Well, the people that should have been weren't. Well, and that should have been rectified.
Because you should have been there.
Somebody just made a comment too about there was a lot of new cards there that day too, like with native being thrown into the mix, So I mean, there's probably just a lot of like.
Oh yeah. So there's another thing.
I probably want to get a judge from the Earth Tower on here at some point and ask like how that was, because that's like all new stuff, right? All new scenarios, like. How many times
the interactions and everything?
Man, I bet you there were so many.
That's another thing I would criticize again with MetaZoo is that they should not, in my personal opinion, they should not have made native legal because of that situation. This could have been avoided if they would have not made it native legal, because it's like, you think of it as a competitive standpoint. It's like, cool, you're expecting everybody that's competing at the Earth Tower literally that week to know every single card, to memorize every single card, and to get on top of that to get their hands on those cards, because those cards ended up skyrocketing. And the only people that actually were able to get their hands on those cards were either people that were sponsored or had connections with partners and were able to get it earlier than others. So that's already a huge disadvantage for a lot of the other players that either are just going on their own or either again.
I think it actually goes even more than that, to be honest with you. I think that native shouldn't have been allowed to be used at Earth Tower when there were the distribution issues.
Yep, and that too, yeah.
Because like sitting like me personally, like Super Galactic, we were one of the few that didn't actually get our allocations. Mike, though, on the other hand, he came in huge for me. I was able to actually get some stuff from him and everything like that. He sent it to me. He's like overnight to me in order to use. I loved the idea of native actually being used at Earth Tower.
I get it.
Wise though, I think it would have been better if it for like a release event in essence. But the tower itself, I think it did put a little bit of a strain on the tower.
Like, go ahead.
I just want to say, like, I view it as like, all right, like, think about like how when the tower formats came out, right? And then they did 3x Terras, and everybody's like, what? Like, oh my god, we have to play test completely differently now. This is a twist. We didn't see that coming, right? So and then maybe this was an additional twist, right?
Yeah,
Thrown into the mix. Now, does it mean that all of it is going to be a good idea? No, but if something doesn't really work out well, or you read the crowd,
that's fair though, because like look at what they're doing with Flame Tower.
Direction, right?
What's that? No, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like, look at what they're doing with Flame Tower, because they even switched that up to where they have specific things that are active, like magma is within eyesight, like, and that was something that they haven't done before with the tower.
And then they did switch up the whole Father Sam, like where everybody was an American citizen. They changed it where everybody is now. Yeah. Where before they decided not to. But you see, and I do agree. I was actually one of the few people that loved the whole 3 times Terra bonuses, because again, these tournaments are long, and the fact that I have to look at the same card for 8+ hours is just like, God, kill me. But then adding the whole 3 times Terra made games so much faster.
Oh my God, it's so fun too.
And it was fun.
Like, it makes so many different cards viable. It turns a 1-drop into 170 beast.
Like it made cards that people didn't see. It made cards that people didn't think were going to be like playable, and I was like, Ugwug was the unsung hero.
Bandage Man,
same thing with Bandage Man. But the only way to get Ugwug was from the release event decks from Seance. So people were scrambling to get those cards. So it was just like that. I did love that they did the 3 times multiplier, and then that's why for me with native. And I know that I get what they're trying to do, being native with Earth Tower. It was the perfect build up, and I understand that. But at the same time, it's like either they, like Epic said, they should have literally have moved Earth Tower back one. They could, if they would have moved Earth Tower back a month, maybe that would have worked leading up to it, not like immediately, but like months before. It's just like, hey, we know we said the whole 1 tower each month, which I think now they kind of get is just like that's going to strain everybody. So I'm really glad that they kind of shifted it. But it's just like they should have shifted either Earth Tower back or native early to get everybody at least a good window to get the product, see the cards, instead of, because that's where I was thinking, is just like these judges are going to be scrambling, because which I found out later that all the judges were playtesters. But it's just like these judges are going to be scrambling, learning about combos or nullifiers, which again was the whole debacle of the finals. It's just like that's going to cause a huge uproar, and it did. So it's just like I hope going forward, and this is why I like how Pokemon does it, is that when a new set comes out, it doesn't become legal to be played for at least a week or 2 after the set releases. Because that gives people a chance to get cards from pre-releases or cards to get played. I don't know if that shifted now, because I used to be a judge for Pokemon back around 2016, 2017. So I don't know if they've shifted it, but back then it used to be 2 weeks after release is when the cards are legal. So now people, like everybody, has a chance to give official rulings, judge rulings, and everything, and people are actually able to learn how to play the cards properly. But like, I
kind of really hope that they keep what they've done with Flame. To be honest with you.
No, well, yeah.
Like, I love the concept of them doing the Terra bonuses and then giving us like 5 or 6 like pseudo environments or
so that I don't mind that.
Brilliant.
It's just the issue was having native literally a week for Earth. So
that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that moving forward, the format itself is the Terra bonuses plus the actual pseudo environmental add-ons.
And I do love, and this is what I loved about, like, when I know, like I said, like a lot of people were kind of upset with the whole 3 times. It's just like this is a game based on your surroundings. That's the whole beauty of the games, that the outside world does change the outcome of the games. So having a strict tower format where things get a huge buffer makes sense, and I love it so much. Now, I would love to see other maybe side events in these tower events, where it's just like maybe a release event tournament as a side event, or a construction side event, or a structure deck tournament, like mini tournaments, because like we see this in a lot of games. So hopefully someone in MetaZoo is hearing this. So because we see this in a lot of games where especially like for example, Dragon Ball One Piece, there is the main tournament, but they have side events where it's like, cool, the minute a block gets filled, which is like 6 or 8 people, we're going to host a little mini tournament for them. They have their own personal prizes, and that's it. So that gives everybody else, or people who are like, hey, yeah, I want to go to Flame Tower, but I don't want to play in a super sweaty environment. I would love to play in a small event. Cool, we got you covered. We got a release event tournament where winner gets a gift card to MPN and a booster box. I'm there. So like stuff like that to get casual players in or people who scrubbed out from the events, something to do while the main event is still going on.
I see what you're saying. Well, and that's a good point too, because with the revamp that they did with the MPN, I cannot wait to actually see some of the exclusive stuff that they're talking about.
The MPN
only get with the MPN points.
The MPN points is such an amazing thing, and I don't think I think besides My Hero Academia, no other card game is doing this, which is such a miss. And I'm so glad that MetaZoo jumped on that them rewarding players and judges on playing constantly. I have a video explaining it. It's coming out pretty soon. That like literally you just go to events, it's all free. You literally only pay for the shipping, and you can get all the amazing merch that you've been wanting to, but maybe not have the cash. Now you can. And the fact that they did this is so fantastic. Like I can't wait for them to add native into the pot, and also the blister packs, and then what's coming next, and then War. We're getting War, I think, next month, right?
I hope so, man. That's what I believe the plan is. I believe it's going to be like towards like the middle or end of August.
So I'm hoping. Hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers. We get a little spoiler, at least a spoiler on Flame Tower of War.
Well, then that's what I kind of really, and everybody's like, oh, we haven't gotten spoilers. We haven't gotten spoilers for War. And I'm like, that's kind of brilliant in my opinion, honestly, because
hyping everybody up.
Like, well, not only just that too, but the thing is though, is that there's so much storyline that's in War that they don't want to give all of it away. And like, apparently there's a couple different, there's one thing Andy keeps teasing me with. And he says it's one of the Collecticon promos. And as soon as I see it, I'm going to understand exactly what's going on. And he showed like a little tiny clip of it, like a little tiny picture of it, like 2 months ago or so. Yeah. And like I'm actually, it's making me more excited that we haven't actually seen any War spoilers or anything.
I can't wait for my Mothmans because I'm gonna make a Mothman deck.
I mean, well, and that's the thing too, is that I love the fact that I'm like we aren't getting tons of like native and Seance were different. I feel when it comes to spoilers because there's a lot of build up to them. War itself, I think, is going to speak for itself. The culmination of everything that's happened in Cryptid Nation block being this set, that it doesn't need a month and a half of spoilers. It doesn't need a month of spoilers. It literally needs 2 weeks of them showing a couple things and then letting the community actually dive into what War is when it comes out.
Oh, like, dude, War's gonna open. Dude, War's gonna change. Like, we're supposed to have code cards in War. The online client should be out.
I can't wait for that.
So just having that aspect in there alone, that's gonna, yeah. And then you have 2 of each beastie, right? You have a light and a dark. Is it
light and dark Mothman?
Light and dark, dude.
Wait, has that actually been confirmed that there's a light and a dark in each of beasties?
I don't know if it's of each beastie, but I'm pretty.
That's based off of the playmat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what. Speculation. That's not it.
Right.
We don't know nothing.
Want to make that clear.
I know. I have a feeling we're going to see 2 Mothman. They're both going to be playable, just like Piazza Bird is with native. So I cannot wait to make a Mothman deck and just start wrecking with them.
And that's one of the reasons we haven't gotten the streamer kits either, is because there are bad War spoilers in the streamer kits.
I unfortunately
one of the things that they originally had said when they first went on sale. I mean, they showed us that playmat, and that was a huge, because I know there's a lot of people up in arms that we haven't gotten the streamer kits yet, and it's like they can't send that stuff out until it's literally time, just because, again, spoilers. Like spoilers, you can't do it. So I don't know.
I missed my chance to get a streamer kit. I'm so sorry.
Oh no. I got one. I'm hoping I get that playmat, man. I'm hoping I get that playmat, but I got the one.
Yeah, I need that Mothman one so bad. But no, yeah, the online client, I'm really excited because that's gonna help so much spread MetaZoo and get all those people who unfortunately cannot travel in that competitive place. And the fact that Caster Society is leading it, and I know they're going to be an amazing job, like they always do with everything they do, it's going to be fantastic. And the code cards, everything on War, going ripping through those code cards, getting that in there, getting those cards, and then I think Andy teased the whole. I know we talked about in Earth Tower, like teasing a potential towers for strictly the MPN, the client is just like that's gonna be so amazing because it's like we're reaching to the territory where it's cool. Like we're like cool. You don't like physical card games. There's the online client that you can play, test, and play, and then get the codes, and you're up and going.
Brenton's asking when the online client comes online. As far as I'm aware, it should be sometime this fall. I'm not. We don't have an exact date, but I mean, I want to say sometime this fall.
The longer they push it back,
I wanted to say too about the code cards is that, from what I remember as well too, the way the code cards are going to be distributed are in the packs, but they aren't going to be strictly War code cards. They're going to actually have code cards for all the other Cryptid Nation sets strewn into the War packs.
Then after War, it's going to be strictly for each set. The War is having a code card for every single one.
And I would imagine them actually continuing to do that for probably some of the big box products, including a random code card from one of the Cryptid Nation blocks. And again, that's speculation, just because it would give them the longevity of being able to give out more Cryptid Nation through War code cards, but not directly interfere with any other set like SCP or 7Cs or Yokai. They can focus on those code cards, but all the big box stuff, all the eBay collaborations, all that gets a random code card for Cryptid Nation through War. That's just what I'm thinking.
What are you gonna say, Mike?
I was gonna say with the online client, I was actually talking to somebody today. I was actually talking about Pokemon with them, and I asked them. I said, "Hey, do you actually play Pokemon?" And they said, "I don't actually go to an LGS, but I play on my phone all the time." So that's where I think people don't really understand. I think there's going to be a significant impact from that online client, and same goes for me. Like for work, sometimes I'll be on a site somewhere and I have to wait 2-3 hours, and I just literally have to sit there and twiddle my thumbs until the higher up say, "Hey, we resolved this issue," and I could pull my phone out and just
play some Zoo in
there.
It's multi-platform. That's what's going to blow me away too. So it doesn't matter if you're iOS, if you're Android, if you're computer or whatever. It's multi. I'm blown away about that.
It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be amazing. And like, if they end up delaying it, that's fine, because it's like I want them to take their time with this one. I don't want. I'd rather it rushed. I want it to be flushed out. Even if they decide to push it back to the next set, and War not having it, that's fine with me as long as it's flushed out. Because, like, for me personally, I'm tired of TTS tournaments because of how buggy it is and how situations where if you're playing against a shitty host and they have no great connections, then you're screwed. And then if you're playing for these metal events and you get kicked out, and that leads to so many implications where your opponent could be cheating. But instead, MetaZoo having their own clientele where we actually can have hosted tournaments, maybe even partnered hosted tournaments, or tournaments in general hosted by MetaZoo, where again now we have the online point system where we can redeem it for there. It's like that is just such a perfect storm where everybody wins, and being able to play with your friends, like again with Mike, is just like, yo, I can hit up Mike and be like, yo, you got 30 minutes, let's play a quick match. Bam, right then and there. So
it also is going to actually help out retailers like partners like Mike, for example, or like John from Immortal, who are strictly all online, start actually getting tournaments together and actually running bigger tournaments and stuff like that, because you won't rely on TTS. You won't have to rely on the webcam.
It's going to be an actual server hosted by MetaZoo.
It's a game changer for strictly online partners, in my opinion.
Anything in society too, the more convenient it is, the more it's gonna boost something up. So convenience is everything.
Like Rue said, it will bring more people to the game for sure.
Yep.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think I saw a comment talking about what was this card, and this card has one of the most craziest stories in there.
Oh, I know what that
Smoky Bears, isn't it?
I know what that is.
It is
man, I'm so jealous you have one of them.
It is the illegal card to hold in the MetaZoo collection. And the fact, oh man, I love, because I was like, I see someone like, what's that card on there? I was just like, that story for that card is crazy. So it was with me. It was actually at it was the exact con that was for against the Mothman Festival, and it was with the team I was hanging out with, ATZ, which a bunch of great guys. Noe and Martin, amazing guys. They do so much for the community. You see, Mike knows them. Like, they help out anybody with signatures and everything. So I traveled with them a lot, and we ended up getting a bunch of the Smokey the Bear promos. And after, since she was there, she was like, yo, I'll draw like what you want and I'll do along. And I was like, you know what? I like the Knights Templars. Draw me one there. And I should have gotten the Mothman one, but my mind was still strictly on tournaments because I actually ended up getting to top 8 on that event. But we started getting those signed and doodle. We ended up getting doodle, but then Andy showed up, and then that's when we heard that she wasn't technically able to make them because those were technically government property because Smokey the Bear is claimed by the government. That's technically defacing government property. So when she was only able to sign 2 of them, and both Mike and Andy know the exact numbers that were made. And he's like, all right. Andy was like, all right, cool. Once you've done these, that's it. You are never allowed to make any more of these ever again. And then when I went up to, once I was going to try to see if I could get it signed by Mike, and he was like, you're one of the ones that own one of these cards. He's like, no, I can't sign these, right? And you're not, they're not supposed to be made. I was just like, yeah, I just wanted to show you. He was like, it's cool, but it's never being made again. So I was like, technically we have one of ones of these cards.
So wait, is she not even allowed to sign them?
No. She signed 2 before Andy stopped her.
I didn't know that. I knew she couldn't do the doodles anymore, but I didn't know she couldn't sign them either.
She can't sign them or doodle them or anything on them. But both Andy, Mike, and have to know the exact. There's 9 of them out. And they know, I think PokeZoo has a couple of them. But when people started seeing, I didn't even know they made waves at the event. So when I was up online, people were like, hey, I'll give you a sample Frogman for it. And I was just like, God damn. It was like, people were offering me Kickstarter cards and everything. I was like, yo, this is getting crazy.
That's when you start to think, all right, maybe I got something here.
Yep. I was thinking to myself, man, I'm not going to fold, but if someone offers me a sample moth.
Yeah, that's that.
Right. So wait, is Uncle Sam allowed to be signed?
I'm not sure, actually.
No, thinking about that, wouldn't Uncle Sam not be able to be signed too? Or is it because Smokey the Bear?
Well, I think Father Sam isn't, because I think he's already at that general use, public use or something like that.
Okay.
Smokey the Bear isn't at a public domain yet.
I
might be wrong, but those cards were going up but talking to people about the story, I could just draw and do it. Well, yeah, you can draw them, but it's the artist and the creator and the vice know exactly which ones are made and done, so no one can fabricate them. It's it and that's it. So
you get it graded.
All right. I mean, I've thought of it.
Are you legally allowed to get it graded?
That's what I'm like. I don't know if I can or not. Because I'm just because I've never graded. I've seen people grade signatures and doodles, but I was like, nothing like this has been done for. So I'm like, I don't know if I can get this graded.
I mean, you can get. Yeah, it should be fine. I
don't know. Yeah.
Man, I mean, they could honestly, an artist could sketch the entire card and still get graded, but it's just the fact of,
well, would they grade technically if it's defacing government?
That's why I stopped, because I was like,
I don't know.
So yeah, I got that. And I think the only other kind of sketch card I got is the second place. I got Doodle. It was the price of
that's a cool one,
man.
By Chris Catman. He did the pre-release for Native over here in Dallas. Literally the day before I flew for New York, we played for the pre-release hosted by Metakai, and I ended up winning second place. I was playing my friend Ed, and I was like, you know what? Let me take a picture of both the first and second because Chris had to leave. I was like, let me get a first and second just to be cocky, and then I would take whichever. And I ended up getting the second place. So I was just like, cool, I already got that photo ready to go.
You took a picture with Chris before you even won, just so you had it. That's so good.
Just so I already had it because he was like, I gotta go. Like, nah, I got you.
That's great. That kind of fits though with the whole you never sleeping thing. You doing a tournament the day before Earth Tower.
Oh, dude, yeah. That is my curse is that I never sleep for any event. Like literally, so this is because I don't know if she's here, Ivy. Like I was taking, I don't know if we can talk about this in here. So I was taking shots. Like it took like 8 or 10 shots that night
at the gala.
At the gala, and literally we had the Earth Tower that morning. I didn't even sleep. I slept like an hour or two, and I was staying at my friend's house, and she told me the specific train routes to take. So I was like, cool, get to the gala. I freaking drank. I didn't even get drunk or anything. I remember everything perfectly. And then I got home. I was like, well, I have to open these packs now because I have, again, this is the whole issue with Native. It was like, I have no packs to open. So I opened all the ones that I got that they were throwing out at the gala. And like, man, people are wild. Like there were some people behind us and Ivy almost like got ran over. But like I was able to save her from getting like hurt really bad. And I was just like, yo, these people are like wilding for these like booster packs. But after the event would happen and everything, I opened the packs. I didn't pull a single fusion aura, and I was just like, well, I got like an hour before I have to go shower and start getting ready for the train station. I was just like, all right, let's do this.
How long was the trip from where you were staying to the venue?
I literally made it at the dot.
Oh, wow.
Because the train ride took like an extra, like an hour or two, plus getting on the like a little Uber to the location. I was like messaging Fajir just like, hey, yo, I'm gonna be late. Like I literally probably like at the moment he's like, nah, you're all right. I was just like,
that's why I just stayed in Brooklyn, dude. It was so much easier just staying in Brooklyn, going to the gala and then coming back to Brooklyn. Like so many people stayed outside of Brooklyn. I was like, oh god, I'm so sorry.
Like, I mean, because that's like I have friends that live there, so I was just like, hey, I just stay on your couch. She's like, oh, I have a sure. I was just like, all right, cool. So I just bummed on
the couch. I love it. Does anybody in the chat have any questions for him? I'm running out of questions actually for you. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation though, man. Though we've talked about a little bit of everything from gameplay to the market to the conventions to the release events to Caster's Cup to I just like yeah.
It's just like this is the thing that I love about like the community because like you can have these kind of communications for hours, and that's what I love about it. Because it's like and that's what I love about MetaZoo is like cool. If you're a competitive player, there's stuff for you here. There's a home for you here. If you like cons and going to conventions, there's a home for you here. If you like competitive gameplay and tournaments, there's a home for you here. If you love lore about these cryptids, there's home for you here. If you love fan art and just getting into the actual community, there's a home for you. So like there's literally no reason why not to be a part of MetaZoo. And yeah, I understand that the memes about it, MetaPoo and all, and I love the fact that they did the whole MetaPoo medal for that because it's like it shows that they're able to take a joke for a lot of this stuff. So seeing everybody and then getting these kind of collections, because that's what for me was the main purpose of getting into the collecting hobby, because I love hearing people's stories on where they started collecting. Like, oh yeah, I got a Pikachu card and I was hooked. I started playing Magic and I got a Black Lotus, and after that I loved shiny cardboard. And then they started building these whole collections and all that stuff, and seeing how MetaZoo is fresh And I know people are so discouraged and don't believe in it. It's just like nobody believed in Pokemon when it first started. Pokemon was considered a dead game when it first started. It didn't pick up, I think, another 5 or 6 years until it was officially launched here in the States for it to actually pick up. I think until the anime started or something. So it's like people, and I know it's like, it's discouraging. I get it, but it's just like, again, the economy, you got to think of the economy. You have to think of all these other factors. But it's like, as long as you collect, and that's what I tell people, because it's like, I know a lot of people get discouraged of how much MetaZoo started printing a lot of other stuff over the year, like this year. It's like, just collect what you like. If you like the skateboards, then collect the skateboards. Or if you're just a competitive player, you don't need any of this stuff. MetaZoo has been doing a good job not having a lot of meta changing cards in these exclusive promos or events and all this stuff. Besides the whole, I think there's a good couple of cards, but like for the pink collections, for like the winter one, the winter pink collection. But that's it.
The Gamers Up Bigfoot.
Yeah, but that Bigfoot, but that again, a lot of those cards didn't really even change the meta or do anything. So MetaZoo's been doing a good job where a lot of this stuff that were just promos were just cards that you can get in another booster box. What's his opinion on NFTs and PFPs? Again, that's another thing that is just, if you're into that space, go for it. I mean, I got the NFT promo, but I don't play it at all. It's decent, but it's not anything game changing. It just, I mean, it looks like, I think it's what, like your opponent draws. If your opponent draws outside their draw phase, you get a draw 2 or something like that. But it's nothing game changing. It's just a nice promo. But like the whole NFT PFP is just like, if you really love MetaZoo and if you really want to support something outside of their card game, then go for it. Same thing like the poker set. Nobody forced you to get these cards. And the only people that, and I love this, is like the only people that got burned by the Kickstarter is those people that were just trying to get into the game to make a quick buck. But when they didn't get that, they just said, no, MetaZoo's dead. They screwed me over. Just like, nah, man, you screwed yourself. You try to high roll something that you could not. And that's, you
didn't need 25 of each deck.
Exactly.
There, I said it.
Hey, you can like McDonald's. You don't need to go to order off the menu. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You like your things on there, man, and that's what you get, right?
Exactly. So, and that's what I tell people is like, yeah, like some of these cards are great. Like we have like what 5 different variants of Sam Sinclair, but they're all the same card. Like the Gallo Sam Sinclair is still the same as the one from CM2 and first edition. Now, if you want to max rarity your deck, sure, why not? Go for it. Get the highest rarity card. Rock that Fresno's from Dimmock, which is like what, $400, $300?
Yeah.
If you got the money, go for it. But it's just like, but that at that point, you're doing it as a cosmetic. You're not doing it for the competitive or the gameplay. Because as a competitive player, I'll tell you right now, the shiny one does the same thing as the plain one.
100%.
Makes no difference.
Well, I will say too about the NFTs, MetaZoo is one of the very few that actually has utility behind their NFTs.
Yeah, exactly. Well. That's the main reason I got into the NFT.
That's the whole reason I bought my Silver Party token, was to have access to the drops. I don't have to worry about the line anymore. I can always secure the stuff for the channel.
And that was the main reason I did it too, because when I got to the whole thing with it, when I got into the NFT, it's just like I saw the benefits of like getting all the stuff early, where I was like, cool, I could get it as limited CN2 boxes. I can get all these other cards, and I don't have hassle of getting anything or struggling to get these cards. Like, cool, I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. to get a drop that I technically didn't need, but I wanted. Instead, it's like, all right, cool. NFT holders, we set aside an allocation for you guys. It drops at 12 o'clock, and then there you go. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that the NFTs right now are actually reasonably priced. You can pick them up. I mean, there was a time where they were astronomical, and like I was priced out. I picked up one for $275. That by itself, right there, means that once I actually buy 2 or 3 of the actual drops, it would have paid for it pretty much itself.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, if you want access to this stuff, there are so many different avenues. I mean, not just the NFTs, but the partners too, as well. I mean, it's, I don't know. I like that they are making moves in the NFT and the PFP world. I don't think a lot of people realize the impact that NFTs alone will have over the next 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with like the PFPs. Everybody's like, oh, it's just a profile picture. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess you could say it is just a profile picture, but it is literally a picture that I own. Nobody else does. They can take a picture. Doesn't mean that it's going to change anything on the blockchain, though. My Cowboy Combi is mine, and it will always be mine.
And on top of that, MetaZoo, like, again, the whole utility thing is like MetaZoo's making it where people are going to get stuff out of it. Or you like, it's going to be integrated on the Play Network. It's going to be integrated on the, I think they said also the online client. So it's like, cool, you know exactly who you're playing with. There is no fake Cumberland Dragon with the hat. I'm playing it against the actual Turmentic. People would know that because that's your ideal, that's your brand. So it's like stuff like that is just like it's going to open a space. It's always going to be new ventures with everything, but they're taking the steps to do it themselves. Then why not? But again, you don't have to buy these things if you don't want it. I haven't bought any of the pin cubs lately. I haven't bought any of the stuff because it's like I was really going hard on competitiveness. So I was like, cool, I don't need any of this stuff. This is just reprint stuff. I can pass on it. I need more native. I will use my money for more native cards. But I don't need the pin clubs. And now I'm seeing a lot of people buy the pins. They're like, yo, that looks nice. Because a lot of the stuff is amazing quality. But if you don't need it, you don't have to get it. So that I think that people have that negative aspect where it's like, oh, great, MetaZoo dropped this and this. Now I have to get it. It's like, right, no, you don't have to get it if you don't want it. This is just a niche for those people that collect pins or skateboards or have the money to blow. Why not? But you don't have to get it because it's not groundbreaking cards for the meta. So that to me is just like, when I see people complain about that, it's just like, you're complaining over air. You don't need it.
What do you think of Hello Kitty?
That is going to be awesome. So you see, and that's a prime example of MetaZoo actually listening to the community, because Andy said it himself that it's not going to be a San Diego exclusive. It is going to be an actual drop that people can get their hands on. Because that, like, I would love to rock a Hello Kitty deck. That thing looks cool. And then
for friends,
exactly. And then the fact that it's actually the second highest grossing IP in the world is going to bring so many people into the MetaZoo space. As also with the Arby's, I can't wait to see what the whole Arby's collab is, because Arby's curly fries are like god tier. So I can't wait to see their collabs with that. And then of course we still have the animated series for the Netflix. So it's like they're making their moves, and it's just like, as an actual genuine fan, it's just like, it's really exciting to see it. And we do get code spites here and there. Like right now we're kind of in the dry spell because they're focusing on Flame Tower and all that stuff. But that happens with everything. Like either you have a banger set that can kind of build up to it, or you don't.
The next 3 weeks are going to be crazy, though, because we have Kansas City this weekend, and then the following weekend is SDCC, where they're actually going to be revealing not just that more Hello Kitty stuff, but other collaborations. We should hopefully get maybe a look at the book or something. We should get maybe at least first looks at maybe one or two of the actual animated shorts. And then the following weekend is Flame Tower. So, I mean, like, there might be a reason why we haven't really heard a ton from them over the last couple of weeks, and it probably is because of them gearing up for the three biggest weeks almost of the year outside of Caster's Cup at New York Comic Con, I feel.
Oh yeah, and it's just like literally nobody could predict it of them teaming up with Hello Kitty. Nobody in the world could have thought that MetaZoo, a game that literally came out in 2020, teamed up with the second highest grossing IP in the world. The fact that they actually able to do that is like, literally, that means the sky's the limit.
One of the guys that actually brought Hello Kitty to market actually is on the MetaZoo board now as well, too.
See, and that's crazy. What stops them from collabing with DC or Marvel or Dark Horse Comics or anybody else, or even what the perfect collabs? What if they start teaming up with horror movie icons? How crazy would it be to have a dark deck with Freddy, Jason, and all these other characters, or Ash versus Evil Dead in the light, like having Ash in the light deck, working with Sam Sinclair. How mind blowing would that be?
Depending on how they do the Hello Kitty stuff too, it actually, because I made a comment the day that they actually announced the Hello Kitty stuff about how this, to me, proves that concepts can actually manifest themselves if there's enough energy or thought put into them, and that opens up the world to a lot more stuff than what we honestly think of as cryptid.
Oh yeah.
And Andy's response, however you want to read it, was bingo, and then he deleted it immediately. So if you take that as meaning something, that we can, that concepts and ideas and creatures that are only on paper can manifest themselves, materialize because of the energy we put into them, thinking about them, talking about them, writing about them, drawing them, then that opens up so many different things, like Jason, like Freddy. What's stopping them from actually being a version or a something of a cryptid?
Or a cryptid, yep.
I mean, there's so much you could draw from in order, and I mean, it was something Mike said like a couple of weeks ago too, when he was doing the lore MetaZoo hour, where, and I can't remember, and it's not the full quote, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of different classifications of cryptids or beasties, if they're even beasties.
Yep.
And that got me thinking as well too, because you could have this entity that isn't a cryptid but is manifested in reality because of X, Y, and Z. Like, I mean, magic exists, magic is real magic is everywhere. So what's saying that magic can't infuse and manifest a concept?
Yep. And it's just
that's a huge thought, I actually, like, for me.
And that's what I love about where the angle of MetaZoo is going. So it's like we can see them focusing heavily, like the towers shows that they're focusing on the competitive gameplay. They're not forgetting about the competitive game players. Then we're seeing the collectability, where all these exclusives, like again the pin clubs, the skateboards. So we're seeing that collectors aren't being left behind from CN1, and then now we're seeing the future that's going to bring in more people to introduce them, like the Hello Kitty collab, the Arby's collab,
Funko Pop.
Yeah, and maybe the Funko Pop also, and then also potentially any other high-end IPs that bring the doorway to all them. Like, how cool would it be to have a deck with Mothman and Batman in there, because he can just be a night cryptid, and it's just the Dark Knight, bam. So it's like how you said. So, or even again with the horror aspects, cryptid alien. We can have like the legit aliens or predators in a deck, where it's like, cool, predators can be toxic or forest or toxic beasties. Aliens can be cosmic beasties. This leads to so much opportunity, and the fact that you can tell that MetaZoo is being selective on who they collab with, being how they are moving forward. They're not leaving anyone behind. It shows a bright future. So when people tell me, "Oh, nah, MetaZoo's dead, nothing's going on," it's like you're not really in the community.
You have to think of it this way. Like, and somebody who was it, Hasbar, I think. Who said it? I can't find it, but somebody commented, and if the second highest grossing media franchise, Hello Kitty, I would assume that they probably make smart business decisions. So why would you select something that isn't that good if you're that successful? You really got to think of that. And on top of that, I want to go back just for a hair. Whenever you were talking about the show and stuff like that, when I was opening Pokemon back in the day, and I was getting a pack, I was just looking for the characters I'd seen on the show. These weren't me opening it up and figuring out who these guys were on the cards. I already had watched the show, and I knew what characters I could pull out of there. So once MetaZoo has a show that hits a much bigger. The eyes have to be on it. That's the thing. The eyes. Once you get the eyes, once you get the audience, once it there, all it takes is one viral moment, and it can literally change everything. So, 100%. And that's my thing. Is people could watch the show and this and that, and they really like Sam Sinclair on the show, so they would rather pull a Sam Sinclair than a Mothman, regardless of value. Because when you're a kid, you're not really thinking this card's valuable. This card's valuable. Oh, you're looking at it from like what you like, and people tend to just. And the fact that people compare MetaZoo to Pokemon without a show is.
I love it. I love
it's
that
insane.
They compare it
it's
to
insane.
Pokemon.
The fact that people can't piece that together and see, like, dude, you're comparing a card game that does not have a TV show to one of the biggest, 25 years, man. Like that's what you're comparing right now. Like that alone is
100%. I'm 100% with you.
It's crazy.
Another big thing I want to point out though is that because you were talking about how you watched a TV show before you opened up Pokemon cards. You don't have to have cards that also have a very successful franchise. Because if anything, look at Harry Potter. Harry Potter was a book series for years before it got anything else. And so if that book comes out, I'm not even going to say if, when that book comes out and people actually start reading the story itself, the cards and everything like that, the book, the story, that investment into the characters, into the universe, into Point Pleasant and Cryptid Nation and everything going on in Unity City, that's what you're talking about, Mike. And again, you don't have to have a bunch of products and stuff behind it for an IP to be a huge hit. Harry Potter is a good example of that. Goosebumps is a good example of that. Animorphs is a good example of that. And from what I actually has seen from the comics, yes, I see when Mike was actually doing the MetaZoo Hour, he was talking about how he used cursing and he used some shock value and stuff like that in order to sell the story. Yeah. He talked about in the interview with me that he got rid of all of that. He's actually flushed out the story, turned it into an actual like linear thing. And that right there is huge in my opinion. Because now you'll have that storyline, you'll have that investment into the characters, and then you have a plethora of products that have come out over the last 2-3 years to support all of that, to make you fall in love with those characters, to give you a little bit of extra information, to be like, haha, cool, I have my Sam card. I mean, look how long it took us to actually get an Ash Ketchum card in Pokemon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like what, Ash's Greninja?
Oh, I mean, there was no real Ash card for over a decade, and we'll have a Sam Sinclair card right off the bat. We'll have a Mothman. We'll have a Dingville. We'll have Indrid Cold, and so that's something else too. That's one of the reasons I'm such a big like proponent, and I push the book and the lore and everything like that so much. Is there are so many other franchises out there that don't have half of what MetaZoo already has. They just have a book. They have a good story. And they're behemoths in the industry. And so with that book coming out, having a good story behind it, and then everything else, like that's why I say we're literally witnessing that snowball right now. It's already gone over the mountain, and we are watching it pick up speed as it comes down that mountainside.
It's going to pick up. It's going to be there. So it's like, for me, it's like when I tell people, like, cash in on those people that are like selling their boxes and stuff dirt cheap. Get it now before it's going to be harder later down the road. That's how it is. I mean, again, take a prime example with Pokemon. Nobody cared about Evolving Skies or the prime example was Evolutions. Nobody gave a hell about Evolutions when it came out. After it came out, people didn't care about it at all. But the minute it got that, like Mike said, that one viral spike in 2020 that skyrocketed everything.
People used to get upset that they had evolutions packs in their pack.
Yeah, exactly. And now everybody wanted Evolutions. Evolutions is now $1,000, and I hated it because I was about to buy it because that box, Evolutions, actually came out on my birthday, November 2nd. So I still need to get that box, but the box was literally shot up from $100 to $300 to $500 to $1,200 in consistent $1,200 and up. all because of that one viral moment, like Mike said. And then now people want evolutions like what? Evolutions like $10 or $20 a pack because of stuff like that.
People, it's the same thing with Celebrations too. Like nobody wanted Celebrations when Celebrations was out, and I've lost count how many people come in a day asking for Celebrations at the shop. It's crazy.
How many people have you heard say, "Oh man, I had all those Pokemon cards, but I just gave my binder away."
Yep.
I sold that whole binder for so cheap. I hate myself for that. Like,
there's at least a dozen people a day that walk in the shop that say that.
And that's going to be
I'm the binders. Like, I'm very glad I bought it.
And that's straight up going to be with MetaZoo is that people are like, nah, it's not doing anything. It's a dead game. But it's like, if you really are in the community, you're actually genuinely looking into this stuff. You're looking at these hypees that are actually taking notice. I mean, isn't it what Warner Brothers Media with MetaZoo for the Netflix special?
No,
it's like
Imagination. It's the same guys that did like the Lego stuff.
But you see
Imagination Studios.
That's
but you see stuff like that can branch out to so much other stuff. Like what? MetaZoo Legos? Damn. MetaZoo promo Legos in the cards, the Lego Mothman and all that. Like this is stuff that's, like you said, it's snowballing, and it's going to be. We're literally witnessing the rise of something big, and I'd rather be a part of it than trash it and then regret it down the line and be like, oh yeah, I was part of MetaZoo. Like, well, what happened? Well, it didn't work out for me. I had a bunch of boxes, but I sold them away.
Now, the other thing too, people have to realize when it comes to MetaZoo is that every TCG across the board, every collectible across the board, it didn't matter if it was football, sports cards, comics, Funko Pops, TCG, old retro games, systems, VHSs, doesn't matter. Everything exploded in 2020-21.
Yep.
And I will be the first one to actually say I am ecstatic that prices have actually come down to earth. Because the thing is that we're trying to bring in these new people to this franchise. We're trying to bring people into this game. And if they're immediately priced out of it, they're gonna be like, no, I'm good. I can't do anything with it. And I'm not saying that I want everything to hit rock bottom at all, but I'm really glad though that things have actually come down to a price range, a price where people can actually buy the stuff that they want.
Like I guarantee you that if it was like, if they did not do that reprint for CN2, that would have been the death of MetaZoo right then and there. Because being like, when I came into the game and hearing from Logan, Mr. Run It Up, him telling me, yeah, you need Power Up Red, you need Chaos Crystals, you need artifacts, but those cards are worth $50, $100, $250, and you need multiples of those cards. I'm like, I'm not going to spend $1,000 on the deck that I just basically need to play in a casual or tournament event. I'm not doing that. Nobody in their right mind would do that unless you're like dive in like deep into the game like Yu-Gi-Oh players are, where they spend $300 or $400 on a competitive deck. But like for a game that just came out and you're telling me to spend $400 on that, I'm not going to do it. So a game needs a healthy balance of a competitive players and a collecting market. And I've talked to some people, I've seen it as a competitive player and a collector from every single card game. If there isn't a strong competitive field in the card game, then it will die. Because you need competitive players or casual players to get the word out for those cards to later. And again, this is why it trips me out, is because people want the money now. You need these cards to later get that value. And again, I agree with you 100%, Turmentic, about the prices going down to a reasonable standpoint, because nobody's going to want to pay for a thing that they think is just literally hype. We want natural growth. We want something to gradually gain its price. So when people are like, okay, why is Seance $200, $300 box? It's like, well, it started back in 2020 or 2021, but it's just like it's slowly grown up because of the SKUs, the less boxes out there, and then also the cards that you can hit, and it's general growth instead of something that's just like, oh yeah, nope, this card shot up overnight. It's like, why did it shot up overnight? oh, people just bought it out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then in that case, then it could just immediately dip tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody wants that. And so we want natural growth with MetaZoo, and with them doing everything, getting these collabs, going with all this stuff, it's going to actually give us that general growth that both competitors and collectors want. And I just can't wait for the future, and I'd rather be a part of it.
Like Rob was saying, let's put. I want to put a little bit of a price aspect into like how much it inflated with the boom. Okay.
Yeah.
I bought in 2010. I bought a complete Shadowless set, including the Charizard, every holo, every common, uncommon, full set, $200. $200. I don't even know what the heck it's worth, even right now, but I know it's worth more than $200 right now still. And I know that probably at the boom, it was probably worth a crazy amount. But I guarantee it's not worth as much as it was at the height of the boom. But it's still, and that's the thing is like people are looking for that. Like, look at everything did it, right? You're talking about collectibles. What about crypto? What did crypto do? That would basically be saying that like Bitcoin's dead, right? Because it was at 70,000, now it's only at 30,000. Yep. But you got people you could have bought in when it was like 3,000, and even that people are like, oh, that's crazy, And then you can't predict everything, but in the case of MetaZoo, to sit here and say that it's on a decline when the online client is not out yet, when the animated show is not out, when Yokai is not out yet,
when every drop sells out,
dude, to leave right now, and if you've been in MetaZoo for a while, to leave now, it's probably in my opinion, it's probably one of the dumbest times,
100%,
dumbest time ever. Though I think as soon as Yokai hits, I think that's going to be a major test, and even with
I think SCP is going to be the biggest set of the year.
Oh, that's also another random.
I'm fully believing that SCP is going to be the biggest set, not just because of reach, because it's going to reach an entirely new portion of the community, but also like SCP is going to be the biggest thing that's actually besides the Hello Kitty collaboration. I feel this year.
Of this year,
yeah. And a lot of people can think, Mike's a partner. Mike's trying to just hype it up. Mike's this, Mike that. No. I look at it from a business standpoint, and I look at trends. I look at what could happen in these aspects. I run a business outside of trading cards too, which is very difficult to scale businesses. So even seeing what MetaZoo does, I'm impressed on a business aspect. Just that alone, people are like, "Oh, it's Arby's. Why not McDonald's?" Dude, I would love to get my telecommunications logo put up in a freaking Arby's, a Denny's. Put that thing up in something. That's freaking nuts, man. So there's so much stuff that I don't know. Everybody has a different perspective. You have the collector's perspective, you have the player perspective, you have all these different perspectives, and everybody believes their perspective is correct, and that the way they see it is correct. I mean, that's life in general, right?
Yeah.
That's why there's arguments with anything as it is.
And that's why those kind of discussions are important, because like for me, and that's why the main reason I started doing content is because I'm a collector, I'm a pro player, I'm a competitive player. I do everything because I have a capability to be in every part of these things, and being able to be in this standpoint is just like cool. I can talk about this stuff and actually have the facts to bring it back it up. Because I've seen it, and not just in MetaZoo, but I've seen it in every other card game that's done their own collabs. I mean, like Yu-Gi-Oh started branching out, doing collabs with like Nike. Pokemon started doing their collabs where they started separating themselves too. But like, look how long it took for outside investments in those companies. They didn't start seeing those kind of collabs literally until like 2015 and up. MetaZoo literally started doing these collabs in a year. that already tells you like people believe in what MetaZoo stands for and what MetaZoo's going. But at the end of the day, if you're getting into this hobby just for the fun of it, you're never going to lose. Regardless if you have a financial standpoint or a player standpoint, if you're doing it just to have fun and be a part of the community, then you are never going to lose anything. I haven't lost a dime in MetaZoo. I've invested money in it. I've invested time in it. And even if God forbid this company Mike just says, nah, I'm done with MetaZoo, it's over. I wouldn't care because at the end of the day, I've met so many great people. I've met you, Mike, today. I've been talking to Turmentic. I've met so many people here in chat that I will take that and cherish with me, regardless of what happens with MetaZoo. Even if I end up magically deciding to leaving, which I never will, hopefully, but stuff like that is just like at the end of the day, time changes, time moves on. It's going to happen. If MetaZoo decides to continue going and grow to something huger to the point where we might not even speak to Mike or see Mike, which is going to happen sooner or later.
It will happen at some point.
It's going to happen. Same thing with Andy. But at least I know for myself, it's like, hey, I used to talk to these guys at these conventions. I used to talk to these people before all this stuff happened. And I'm okay with that. They don't recognize me. They don't talk to me anymore. It's like, hey, it is what it is. Time moves on.
I'll always have my chaos crystal.
You see, there you go. And the same thing with me. I have my second place. I have my second place medal in my deck, doodled by Andy, and I rock it with my deck every time. So like stuff like that is what I love about this game, that we're able to take so much out of it and put it into something else. And I'm sure a lot of people. So that's why I'm telling you, like when people tell me like, oh, how do I get into content creating with MetaZoo? Like start now. Just do it. Do whatever you want. If it's lore or content for gameplay or fan art or whatever, start now because we're literally seeing the rise of MetaZoo. Get in with it. Get in the wave now, for then later you won't have the FOMO that everybody says that's MetaZoo. You won't feel left out. You're a part of this community. Rather, you're trying to be a partner or anything. Just do it. And if you're doing it for the genuine love for the game and the IP, you're not going to lose it all.
Man, oh, dude, that was all right. We're gonna have to end it there because that was a great way to end that. Like, I mean, do it because you love it. Do it because of the community. It doesn't matter whether you use a phone. Doesn't matter whether you use a computer. Doesn't matter what. Just do it. Just do it.
We're stealing Nike's logo. Just do it.
Hey. All right, there we go. MetaZoo and Nike. Yeah, I'd rock them.
I'll rock them off, man.
I'd rock me some Nikes, MetaZoo Nikes. But yeah, dude, wow. We're gonna have to bring you back on because this has been probably one of my favorite conversations. This has been so easy to talk to you too. Like, I love this. Like, this is great.
Less Yu-Gi-Oh talk.
I got you, Mike. I got you next time.
But you're 100% right, though. I mean, the community is the reason I actually do what I do. The people that make up the community, the friends that I have made, the friends I've made along the way, to use the phrase. I mean, and there's so many people that are actually in the chat right now. I mean, I wouldn't be doing I feel like you're the same way. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for all of you guys. Like, I wouldn't have the drive that I have if it wasn't for all of you guys and the way that we support each other. And again, the whole goal is to just bring awareness to the franchise. And there's no reason why all of us shouldn't be working together in order to actually uplift everything to do with this community to get more eyes on it. Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to actually bring the longevity of the franchise. Is the more people viewing it, the more people getting invested in the characters and the gameplay and the competitive aspect, the lore, all of the different random stuff, like the keychains, the pins, like investment in those things, investment in the franchise itself is what's going to bring it longevity. So like, well said.
Hashtag send me a content creator medal, MetaZoo, please.
Hey, send my man a content creator medal. Do it. He needs it. He deserves it. My man makes amazing stuff. But yeah, dude, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for
thank you for having me. I love talking to you guys. It was so fun.
Like, it just, I love the gameplay aspect that you brought to it as well too. I specifically didn't bring up Flame Tower because I don't want to get you in trouble with the team or anything. Because my man, he was like, I don't care. I'll say everything about Flame Tower. I was like,
bunnies.
Nah, I can't do that. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Flame rabbits are going to be everywhere. Wee is going to be everywhere.
Wee!
Exactly.
You got to say it every time like that. It's required. It's against the law. Wee! But yeah, I don't know. What are your closing remarks, Mike?
This was wow, 2.5 hours, and that flew by.
Oh yeah, it did. I lost track.
It's been a minute since we actually did one over like an hour and a half, hour 45.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we hit a lot of key points too, man. So I mean, overall, I mean, I think this was a phenomenal stream. It was dude, I see your name freaking everywhere. Like, you are everywhere. You're commenting here, there. And then that's when Rob was like, all right, yeah, Demon Fergus is coming on. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I've never met him before, but definitely know who he is. So it has been
likewise,
man, to get to
I've
know
seen
you.
your brand, especially on Facebook and everything. I was just like, he does stuff with Turmentic. I've seen that guy's stuff before.
Oh yeah. Bringing people together.
Exactly.
Hashtag MetaZoo family.
I mean, that's pretty much the basis of what I wanted to do. My content is just like, because like I've said it, like I traveled all through the U.S. last year because of MetaZoo, following them, going to every con and event. And that was the main point of me making my content, because I was like, and that's why I try to get as many extra promos, because I felt that I was so fortunate enough to live off of my collection at the time and go to all these events. But I also wanted to bring stuff back to friends, so I would bring them promos. I would get promos from other people that didn't care for them, and bring them back home for those who wanted them. And then also, when I saw people wanted to see the events and all that stuff, I was like, people weren't making the content for it. I was like, you know what? I want to do that stuff and fill the gap, fill the void, and then hopefully inspire the next person to do my job 10 times better, because I am lazy as hell. And people did it. They rocked it out of the park. And that's what I loved about it so much, is just like, if I'm able to motivate somebody to do something even better than me, then I will support them along the way. And the way, because I stream also on Twitch when I do my gameplay videos, is like, at the end of the stream, I always tell people, if you're a sinner, do a little bit of good out there. If you're a saint, don't be afraid to be a little bit naughty, but everybody spread some peace, love, and positivity. And I've been your host, Demon Fergus, and these guys were amazing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
See, there's that sultry voice that I love. I love it. And yeah, if you haven't had a chance to go and check out some of the stuff that he does over on Twitch, because I've watched a couple of your highlights from your Friday the 13th streams, and they're hilarious. All right, they are. The little one, what is it, the video you have, I think, on TikTok, of trying to start the engine.
Oh, the generator,
and then running around and like gotta jump over the thing, and then you start the engine again. Like, grade A tier stuff. I'm not even kidding. Like, definitely go and check it out. But yeah, I mean, again, Antonio, the Demon Fergus, you are amazing. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Next Monday, we actually have AJ from ArcanaCast actually coming on. We're going to talk about his dice, the specialty ones that he's done for the towers. We're going to talk actually more tower talk. We're actually going to talk more gameplay. We're going to talk to him about his Kickstarter that he just had actually as well too. So definitely stick around next Monday. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But again, man, you're gonna have to come back on at some point.
Yeah.
And if you win Flame Tower, you definitely have to come on. Actually, let's talk about it. Talk Flame Tower.
I got you.
Love it. All right. Well, you're amazing. This community is amazing. Mike, you're amazing. I love each and every single one of you. I don't got anything left. I'm done.
Love you guys.
Bye.
All right. Later on, guys. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you live this weekend at Kansas City and all that fun stuff. So have a good week. Bye.
MetaZoo to the moon.